Disclaimer: all views expressed on What Makes Us Fire are solely those of the person or persons giving them. What Makes Us Fire does not represent or claim to represent any particular city or fire department, and therefore make the claim that all views and standpoints are affiliated with What Makes Us Fire and with What Makes Us Fire only. Any mention of certain fire departments or cities within the interviews are solely for informational and opinion-based dialogue. In short, if you have a problem with what's published, just say something about it and don't be a Richard.
What is up, What Makes Us Fire family? This is Josh, your host of the What Makes Us Fire podcast and founder of the What Makes Us Fire nonprofit foundation. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode, where I have a pretty damn cool guest. This guy's somebody that's been following What Makes Us Fire since the beginning, since the start, since before the foundation. Hell, since I think before even the first podcast episode went out. His name's Devon. His handle, 2606 TWO number 6 ZERO and then the number 6. Devon's a firefighter. Devon's a firefighter that deals with some mental health issues. Devon's a father. Devon is going through family issues. Devon experienced a pretty traumatic experience growing up. When you're talking with him, he realizes that a lot of life that happens shapes us. He shares how not fulfilling what he thought his childhood dream should be or should have been doesn't define him. That sometimes life gives us a different chance to really accept our purpose. We go through all of it. We definitely jump around a hell of a lot, and we go through a couple rabbit holes. The information's good. The information is solid. I can't thank him enough for sharing what he did, and I can't thank him enough for his continued support of What Makes Us Fire. What Makes Us Fire family, please help me welcome Devon, 2606.
Hi, brother.
One, I want to say, that's a badass looking hoodie you got on, by the way.
Yeah, man. I was wearing my hat and I realized I got my fucking headset. I can't do that.
I'm wearing on top of the hat.
You know what?
I'm just saying.
Yo, it's a long night, okay? There we go.
All right, let's go. Process, bro. Process.
Yes.
Devon, brother. First, you already know how this is going to go, man. We're just going to have a conversation. That's it. We're going to talk. I think we just talked a few times. You helped in a friend of ours Pictionary Zoom live thing. I just want everybody to know we know each other, but we don't really know each other all that well.
No, we've talked a few times lately, mostly on your lives.
Mostly on the lives and chit chat here and there. Nothing crazy. You have been somebody that's been following What Makes Us Fire before we even hit TikTok.
It has been a while. On Instagram. I didn't know what you were at first. I will be honest with you. I thought you were just a guy posting cool fire shit.
Oh, really?
Sorry.
No, dude.
Oh,
dude.
All right.
Shit, piss, fuck, cocksucker, motherfucker, jizz, fuck, church, what? I mean, say whatever the fuck you want. It doesn't matter.
Sounds good. Yeah, at first I didn't know. I thought you were just some firefighter doing his thing, posting shit on TikTok. Instagram.
It was on Instagram at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, shit. I mean, I think you've been part of the What Makes Us Fire crew in the family shit since maybe having 300 family members on Instagram. Maybe. I mean, you've been following for a while, bro.
Yeah, I would have definitely gotten more active earlier. Like once I realized what you were doing, then I definitely started reaching out to you, watching more stuff, and wanting to be more involved. So
yeah, why the hell would you? I mean, dude, I have this really bad habit of thinking like the shit that I put out there isn't all that great, and like why are people? Why is this hitting people? And then I'm like, oh, that's why. Why the hell did you start following? Like, you just thought you saw some fire shit and you just like, oh, cool, another firefighter to follow.
Like, very at first, yeah. Like, your thing was what makes us fire. I was like, oh, yeah. Obviously, I like fire shit. Then, once I realized what you were doing, what the message was, I'm all for that. I really am. And then really started paying attention to you. And like, I think I said this to you just recently, just because any random person out there is going to start taking on a huge feat like this doesn't mean I'm going to just get behind them. But you get this vibe from you. Like, you can tell that you're genuinely into this. You can see the passion that you have for this. And you seem like a genuine person to me,
Well, I appreciate that, man. I really do. And I am the kind of person that I'm not gonna say something unless I don't mean it. I'm not gonna do something unless I believe in it. I do my best to be honest with myself first, because in the long run, that's the only person that fucking matters to begin with.
Sure.
So as long as I believe in it and I'm not harming myself or anybody else on purpose, and my intentions are good, then I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna do it. So I appreciate you believing in that and following that. And
so I do.
Bro, we just got off on a little tangent there, because, well, you're an OG, dude. You're an OG. Let's call it what it is. You're
I like
What Makes Us Fire OG, right?
I like it.
Original gangsta. I've been wanting to ask you to come on the show for a long time, but I was just like, I don't want him to feel, and this is my thought process, right? This is my anxiety working. I don't want him to feel I'm just asking him because he's been following for a long time. He's a firefighter. I don't want him to feel like, I don't know, like but at the same time, I was just like, I don't want him to feel like I've been blowing him off either. Like, I do want him on the show, but I don't want to just ask him because, I don't want him to think, oh, it's just because I'm following. It was like, my anxiety was running. I was playing out all these things. It's like, I don't want to hurt the dude's feelings, but at the same time, like, would I be hurting his feelings? Do I even fucking care? He's a firefighter. He should be able to handle it. I'm going through all these scenarios in my head. And then finally, I'm like, you know what, man? We got to make this happen. We got to come on the show.
I mean, I'm glad you were. I'm not going to lie. Watching a lot of these podcasts, I was like, oh, man. And I was going through the same thing. I was like, I wonder if I just asked him. Like, is this how this works? Like, do people ask him? Does he ask people? And for a while, I was like, that'd be cool to go on the podcast. When I watched Jason Patton's, when that one came out, I was like, oh, he's on this? I was like, man, I really need to. Maybe I will ask him, but no. Then you asked me. I was thrilled. I was absolutely thrilled when you did.
Yeah, dude, you were definitely going to be coming on sooner or later. One, you're first responder, you're firefighter, right? You are part of the life that we live. You're an advocate for what we're putting out there. And two, had I known you were going to be wearing What Makes Us Fire merch the whole freaking episode, I would have had you on way sooner.
Oh yeah, I ordered some more.
That's my shameless self plug for a second.
Oh, you got to do promotion. I got some more stuff coming. It's not here yet.
Are you serious? You ordered more stuff?
Yeah, I got a t-shirt, and I got a. I don't know if it'll fit her. She's real small, but I got the extra small shirt for my daughter.
Oh, awesome! There's a kids line. You know that, right?
Yeah, it's from the kids line, but she's only about to be 3, and she still wears 24 months clothing. So.
Oh, okay. She's a small little thing, dude.
Yeah, she's small. She's like the 12th percentile of her height.
Which begs me to question: how tall and heavy are you?
I'm only like 5'10", about 160.
Soaking wet.
Yeah, pretty much. Her mom is 5 foot. Like she's probably around 115.
Oh wow! So okay? Yeah, she's probably gonna be a small little thing for a while.
Yeah.
It's all right. We need small guys in the fire department, man. I'm telling you.
Oh, it's the there's an attic. Where's Devon? The attic. Tight car. Devon. His car.
Yep.
Crawl through that little hole right there.
Yep.
Okay.
Devon, get in there. Yep.
Yep.
Devon, my ass is too big. You don't have one. Go. Get in there.
Exactly. Climb this little ladder through that little hole. Crawl down that little tunnel. Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Go find the fire. Put it out, bro. Devon, brother, again, we're getting to know each other this whole time. You're going to be able, I'm going to rag on you because you're a firefighter just like me.
Definitely.
So if you want, give it back. I can take it. That sounds weird. But seriously, bro, I really do appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate you supporting the show. You've been a huge supporter since the beginning, and I can't thank you enough for that, man. It's a fucking honor to have you on the show, and I can't wait for us to dive into this conversation. First things first, and I do this with all my guests. I like to, we just basically went over how I got you on the show, right? Usually that's how I start. I tell people how I get you on the show or how I get my guests on the show. Usually it's because I'm stalking them, not because they're stalking me.
threw a little wrench in that plan.
Yeah, no. You weren't stalking me, you were supporting stalker.
Yeah.
And it was cool, and it's an honor to have you on. After that, man, we dive into who you are. I don't want to start. You've heard the shows before. You've heard the episodes. I don't want this from high school. I want to know, like, bro, when little Devon became the Devon today, like, where are you from? How'd you grow up? What did family life look like? How'd you get into the career you're into? Take us through that timeline. You can make it as long as shorter if you want, but I might interrupt you a couple times, especially if I hear something weird.
I try to keep the weirdness out of it. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, that ain't going to happen. We're two firefighters. We're two firefighters talking. I'm drinking whiskey at 9 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. Hey, weird is coming, y'all. Weird is coming.
Man, I got to go get my whiskey now.
If you want to take a quick break, go get a whiskey.
I need to finish my coffee first, and then maybe I'll get something. If I don't get my coffee out, you're going to be interviewing this.
Which wouldn't be good because cops think we do that all the time anyway.
I am in a recliner. I might flex on my cop friends on this a little bit. Just lean back.
There you go. So where are you from, bro? Where are you born? Start there.
So, South Jersey. Now, I'm going to start off by saying this. South Jersey is not what most people think it is. South Jersey is not big cities, big towns. It's very rural, small towns. So I grew up in a small town. My town has like 1,500 people in it. That's how small of a town I'm in.
Wow. It's like where everybody knows when you take a shit, small town.
Yeah, pretty much. My whole family's in this life. I am, so it was pretty much where I was going. My brother's federal law enforcement officer. And so he's fourth generation cop and I'm the fourth generation firefighter. But growing up, this was never my plan. Never wanted to be a firefighter.
Never wanted to be a firefighter, huh?
Nope.
What was family like? Growing up, bro, what was family like? So you got a brother. Is that your only sibling?
Yeah, he's an older brother. He's 2 years older than me.
2 years older than you. What was growing up like in South Jersey like?
In the woods, off-roading. You know, my brother's first truck was a 1986 Ford Ranger, 6-inch lift kit, 35s. And you'd go to parties out in the woods. That's usually what you do. Go bonfire. Like when I say a bonfire, I'm talking like pallets of wood. And
I want to go. I want to go right now. Let's go.
Oh yeah. It's great.
Podcast over. Let's go.
Let's do it in the woods. If we were both from South Jersey,
did you just hear what you said? You just said, let's do it in the woods. Really, bro? Really? You literally just gave cops ammo against us, man.
Oh, man. All the cops. I didn't just say that. Don't worry. So, yeah, that's what's...
It was growing up in the woods, stuff like that. Did you enjoy stuff like that? You hunt? You fish? You do all that stuff? Or
I used to be big into it with my step-grandfather. He got a little too old for it. He stopped doing it, so I kind of stopped doing it. Couple guys on my shift, they got into hunting and fishing last year. So I'm probably going to be getting into it again with them because they're like the worst country boys you can possibly think of. And and I hope he hears this. He bought a boat. I had to go with him because he didn't know how to ride a boat, didn't know how to trailer a boat. So
wow,
had to go. But you know I'll be getting back into it.
We get a bunch of those guys all the time. We get a bunch of those guys all the freaking time where they'll buy something and they'll be like, "Hey, can you show me how to use it?" Why the fuck did you buy it, bro?
Yeah.
You know, boat is not a word. It's an acronym. Bust out another 1,000 because boats are expensive to keep up.
At the end of last season, I think it was like 2,800.
Right.
I remember right now. He's my boy. He's like He's on every one of my shifts. So
what's his name?
Russ.
Russ, dumbass. What are you doing?
All about you, Russ.
No, Russ, brother, I'm just calling you dumbass. All in good fun, bro. But seriously, why the fuck you buy a boat? Anyway, so you grow up, you're in the backwoods. You said step grandfather. So at some point, your parents divorced while you were growing up.
Grandparents did.
Oh, your grandparents divorced.
Yeah, my grandparents divorced.
Oh, okay. Well,
that way before I was even.
Well, fuck me for a second.
I don't even think I was a thought at the point. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, how was family life growing up? I mean, we talked about your brother. You guys hung out a lot out in the woods. And
yeah.
What about your parents and stuff like that? What was family life growing up?
Growing up with my dad, it was thinking back on it was strange because everyone's like, oh, you have a cop as a father, he must be so strict, and like he wasn't. And thinking back, we're like, me and my brother talk about this sometimes. We're like, all the things we thought we were getting away with, we now know no chance that my dad did not know what we were doing. He had a few rules that were, he had to follow, but it really wasn't many. But like, it wasn't as like that cliche thought of having a cop parent where you can't go out and do anything, or you can't do this, you can't do that.
Right. Not everything's fucking Hollywood, people.
Yeah, no, not at all. And he was pretty lenient. He let us live our lives. He let us make our own mistakes. And we thought we were getting away with stuff. I'm pretty positive I didn't get away with anything. He just put that trust in us that we were being young and dumb, not getting ready to go to jail or anything like that. So,
right.
I think he did it the best possible way he could do it. So.
And what about like with your mother and stuff? How did that go?
My mom, she tried to be the disciplinarian. It didn't work out very well because everyone's going to probably think I'm weird. My mom, when she would discipline you, she would yell. But when my dad would do it, and I could probably count on one hand how many times this happened with my dad, he would like whisper in a very low monotone voice.
That's
and
when you're in your shit.
Like, it scared the shit out of me. Like, I bet you 5 or 6 times in my life he did this voice to me. But
you want to try to reenact that right now so I can make fun of you for doing it?
No, I don't even think I could. Like, it just I don't know. Just it's like really I can't do it. It was almost like a whisper, but not quite a whisper. It's just like thinking back, I was like, "Oh, my bad.
Like, you knew your ass was about to get beat. Whisper.
Oh yeah. Once his voice dropped. Oh yeah.
Oh, the dad voice.
He was a hard ass back then.
Was he?
For sure. He's not so much a hard ass anymore. I make fun of him all the time. My daughter has made him soft.
Good. Yeah. And as grandchildren should. Isn't it weird that sometimes you look at your parents and you see them treating your grandchildren a certain way and you're like, I never got treated like that.
Yes, that is my dad. I look at him, I'm like, who are you? I don't even know you.
What are you doing? Like, you literally never did any of this for us.
I was like, man, old and soft. All it took was a granddaughter. That's all it took.
Growing up, bro, I'm prying in and I'm asking, a little bit more specific questions because I think personally you're kind of skipping over stuff, and it's okay because you're being very general. But I like to get a little bit deeper in because, look, when we growing up definitely shapes us into adults we're going to be, right? And certain experiences when we're younger shape us as we grow up and become the adults we're going to be. So basically, I'm asking, one, it sounds like you had a pretty normal, average childhood. Nothing too major, nothing too traumatic.
Well, it sounds like you're asking for that one event. I know exactly what event I think you might want to hear.
Well, I want you to get there yourself if you're willing, but I don't want you to tell if you don't want to.
No.
What's the event then? When you were younger, what's the event growing up? Sounds like you had a pretty good average childhood, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
And nothing too major. You had a loving, caring father he was a Leo. He was a law enforcement officer. He definitely kept you and your brother in line, even when you thought you didn't. You had a mother who was loving and caring. Like, so what fucked you up enough to become a firefighter? Basically, this is where I'm going with this.
I'm in third grade. We're at a birthday party, and my grade school was small, K-8. I think we may have had 200 kids, maybe. So my class was, at the time, I think we had 12 or 14. Can't exactly remember in my entire grade. So we're at a birthday party. We're all at the one girl's house, and there's a few parents. And we're getting ready to pile in all their cars and go see Rugrats the movie at the movie theater. And
Honey pickles, man.
Rugrats movie. I've never actually watched the movie. We're pulling out of her house. There's a van in front of us. It's got all the girls, and then there's like a station wagon, if I remember correctly. It's like an SUV maybe with like a third row. The boys are in there. The girls are in front of us. They're pulling out. We're 200, 300 feet away from the house. They pull out onto a highway, and the car gets T-boned.
Oh,
and
no.
It's in. So just the sidetrack real fast. The town, it's all volunteer where I grew up. The town I grew up in, you have the 3 fire departments, and they respond mutually to everything within the 3 towns. None of the towns are busy. At most, I think like 280, 300 calls a year.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, it's not busy at all.
No, yeah, small towns. So they get T-boned. They end on the opposite side of the intersection, on the other side of the road. The car we're in, we pull over, but we're on the opposite side. And a lot of it's gray, blurry. You kind of don't remember a lot of it. I remember seeing like just all these people showing up, police officers, firefighters. I'm young. I knew what a cop was. I knew what a firefighter was. I didn't know what they were. It's just like, to me, that's what my dad does. It's his job. And I specifically remember looking across, seeing the firefighters grab this girl out, and they're like helping her to an ambulance. And I remember seeing the blood down the side of her head. And you're not really processing it at the time. What I see as third grade is like, I see her, she's walking, and they're helping her, but she's walking, so she's alive. What could go wrong, right? At this point, her name's Brittany, and her house was down the street from my house. She was my best friend, and my dad was still involved with the fire department at this time. So he shows up there because they all call him. He was on duty as a cop though, but he gets there. A lot of the incident after that, it's very blurry. I don't remember a lot of it. My dad brings me home. It's later on that night. Another police officer from his town comes over, and he sends me up to my room. And they're talking, and I figure it's about the car accident, but I don't really know exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And he brings me back down, and he tells me that my friend Brittany had actually ended up passing away. And I remember I'm like, well, I actually saw her walking, so that could not have happened. How could that have happened?
Right.
And they try to explain it the best you can, And now we're a bunch of third graders, and there's 12 of us. Like, we're all friends. Every single one of us are friends with the other person. It's not like there's some random person in my grade that I think I know their name. I've been to every single person's house, in third grade.
Well, growing up in a small town like that, you almost have to allow yourself to accept whoever it is as who they are, because if you didn't, you're going to really ostracize yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's not that many people.
No, 12 of us, yeah, we're literally all friends. I can't tell you for certain. I bet you every single person in my class was there. And you're in third grade. You don't know what's going on. She's dead. She's not here anymore. And like, what is this? Like, what is happening? And then, all the parents are there and everyone else is there. Everyone's like, oh, but it's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. But like, they keep telling you that it's okay, don't worry, or whatever they're saying. They try to console you, but it's so hard to comprehend everything that they're throwing at you. Like, it's going to be okay, but she's dead. Like, what? Why don't I believe you? And it takes so much longer. Not until you're in high school you realize, well, it's not going to be okay. They just don't know what else to tell you.
Right.
But that's not comforting. It is to an extent, but where do you find this comfort from? And you end up, you need to find it in your peers. You can't find it in adults because, they don't understand. You don't understand. They can't explain it to you because you almost don't understand. Man, I am going off on a tangent. I don't even know if any of this makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. Hey, look, you're trying to explain an emotion that you had at a time where you didn't understand your emotions, right?
Yeah.
So
pretty
as
much.
you're talking, you're literally, I can hear the third grade you trying to express what was going on through your mind, how you were feeling, how did you process this, and it's crazy how we can do that when we start really processing the what the fuck happened, right? And sometimes it takes us until we're adults to be able to actually really go back and process that logically, process that with a stronger understanding of emotion and a stronger understanding of what happened. It could take years for us to do that. And it affects us to a point where we don't realize how it affected us growing up until we get to this age where I can now really process what I was feeling as a third grader.
It does take years, that's for sure.
Yeah. And you're like, I can't believe I wasn't able to realize it like I'm realizing it now back then. But we can't beat ourselves up for it. But we do. We beat ourselves up for it because we're like, how could I ever let it affect me that way? I'm so much more aware now. How was I not aware like I am now, but not back then? Like, I should have known that this was happening. I should have known that this was going on. Obviously, there's no way you could have known. There's no way you could have fully processed what happened to you like that. But that's okay. It's okay. Like I was saying, like I'm hearing your story, and I'm hearing third grade Devon trying to tell this story, right? I'm seeing you. You're 30 something years old, and I'm not seeing 30 something year old Devon trying to explain this story. I'm seeing third grade Devon trying to really comprehend and tell the story from third grade Devon's perspective. And it's funny because I see that, and then I see the Devon now processing it and going, wait, hold on. Because you stopped yourself a couple times. Well, I guess. Well, maybe. And like adult Devon is now processing what third grade Devon went through. And it's so crazy how we do that without even realizing we're doing it. But if you're able to step back and look at it, you're like, oh shit, I am doing that.
Yeah, it does take years, and it's also something that didn't really talk. This is probably the first time I've actually talked about it. I can't remember the last time. So
how do you growing up? I mean, obviously your family life was pretty normal. You had good parents, you had a good support system, but this affected you. Obviously, it affected you to a point where it made you behave a certain way from that point on. Up until now, until you're processing it and talking about it and being more open about what happened and how it made you feel. How do you think seeing that and then going through your life, growing up, how did that affect you growing up? Because look, we all of us have our own traumatic experiences. Not one's greater than the other. Not one's more than the other. They're just different, right? And my traumatic experience is different from your traumatic experience, but that doesn't mean mine is worse or more traumatic than. I can't measure that. There is no measurement. It'd be unfair for me to measure that. That's why I ask, how do you process the way it affected you?
There's a few different ways that that affects my me today, like especially as a firefighter and as an EMT. Flash forward 24 years old, I joined the fire department that shows up to get her out of the car. And many of these are the same guys that were there. A lot of them remember it clear as day. There was that little bit of because I was around the fire department as a kid, running around with my dad. So a lot of them were still there. And then, so I get to know these guys. Great guys, they just rip their shirt off, give it to you right then and there. And I'm going to try to put this thought process in the words. And, you got all these great guys, they're doing their best. The fire department, it's got a really good reputation, really good department. And then you look, it's like, wow, I'm running with these guys. They're all really great. And then you think back, well, these are the guys that showed up, but they're the ones that were supposed to save her, but they didn't save her. And you really start diving deeper into that thought process where, I think a lot of police, fire, and EMTs fall into, we have to save everybody. But you just can't save everybody. Her injuries, whatever they were, it was cuts into her, it was deep cuts into her head. If she could have been saved, these guys would have saved her. They were great then, they're great now. And it's molded how I look at, all the deaths that we see. Because, sorry, I'm trying to formulate the thoughts,
No, man, you're good, bro. Take your time.
It has the outcome of the incident or the call or whatever has no bearing on the first responder, which I feel like a lot of us, we take that and we feel like, what could I have done different? What could I have done better? What if I moved faster? What if I did this instead of that? What if I did that instead of this? And I could have saved her. At the end of the day, she could not have been saved. There's nothing that those guys could have done to save her. It's just what happened. It is how life was turning that day. And that's how I look at it. When I go to a cardiac arrest, I go to a car accident. I have the faith in my abilities, the people I work with. If I get there, cardiac arrest, whatever, even if we get the call in time, even if we get there in time, even if we start adequate CPR and we get them loaded, we get them to the hospital, we do everything 100% correct, at the end of the day, they may not have been able to be saved. And it was, the way I started thinking about that is because I joined this fire department and here's all these guys, all these great guys that do a lot of hard work. And they're the ones that pulled her out of the car. This was my best friend, and I saw it when I was in third grade. And at first you're like, well, why didn't you guys save her? Why didn't you move faster? Why didn't you put these gauze on her head? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And it forces me, at least because of that weird situation I was in, joining the fire department and being involved in that accident, forces you to really kind of look at each incident and how life works almost. And at the end of the day, how I view myself is just a tool. I'm just a piece to the puzzle that's trying to reach this outcome that might not even be possible. And
that's true.
I've told this how I look at it to other people, especially non-people in the business. It doesn't bother me. I get it. They don't understand it. They think it's like a cold way to look at it. But it's like, say, you're on the engine, you're on the ladder, whatever truck you're riding, you guys go to a house fire. I'm not the one that started a house fire. I'm not the one that put that person in the house fire in a position where that person couldn't get out. I'm not the one that I didn't make that person not be able to get out, And I'm not saying they deserve to die. I'm just saying it's not me. What I'm there is I'm the person that's going to go pull you out. Now, I may get the call in time. I may get my gear on in time. We may get out the fire department and this house. Maybe it's, a half mile away. Maybe it's right there. everything goes perfect. We get in there. Maybe it's the first room we go to search and we pull him out. He still might die. That's not, we do everything right. It's still not my fault.
It still not might be enough.
Yeah. There's many things that are out of our control, I guess. We can't do everything. We do our best. And because I caught myself thinking, like, why? And I'm 24 years old, and this is actually the first time I'm saying this part out loud. I caught myself thinking at the firehouse that I've just joined. I'm like, how could these guys and some of these guys I remember have known since I was a kid. It's like, how could these guys let her die? And it forced me because but like my brain's like, well, they didn't. It's emotionally the deep parts, like they were the ones that were supposed to save her. So it made me really dive into how I thought about it.
It was your logic,
early stick.
It was your logic mind arguing with your emotional mind.
Yeah, it happened
fighting each other
at a very early stage in my first responder career. Is when this started, and I think it has definitely helped me. Especially, I mean, I see it more on the ambulance than on the fire truck, but especially, all the stuff we see, it's definitely helped me process what I do and see at a very early point in my first responder career.
Man, well, one, the fact that you're saying stuff that you haven't said out loud right now here on the show and becoming aware that, holy shit, this is the first time I'm saying this out loud, knowing that these people that you're talking about might hear this episode, but they understand. I guarantee you they understand. I guarantee you they understand. And if they don't, then fuck them. Because here you are trying to be honest with yourself and them, letting yourself know, hey, this was my thought process. This is what I went through. And it's okay that you went through it. And it's okay. It's natural for you to go through that kind of thought process, right? Look, the way the human mind works and how we process shit and how we decide what we're going to think about, what we're not going to think about. Sometimes we don't actually get to decide. It just happens. It just pops in our head. And now we got to deal with it. Right?
Yep.
Fuck the human brain. Fuck you, brain. Fuck you.
Not fucking wrong.
But that's okay because you're more aware that that this is a thought that just popped in your head, but you're allowing yourself to process it instead of letting it take over. Instead of letting it become the thought process, you're allowing yourself to process the thought process, right? And not a lot of people are able to do that. Sometimes they get stuck on that emotional loop. It is this way because I feel it's this way, instead of using that logical mind to be like, I know it feels this way, but let's look at this from a logical perspective and really evaluate what's going on here. And you found a way to do that, which is actually very fucking healthy to do, Devon. It is very healthy to do. You are doing something that's actually very healthy in a mental health aspect that not a lot of people realize is a healthy thing to do. And sometimes some people even feel guilty for fighting the emotional thought process, right? They feel bad and they feel horrible for something that happened. But then their logical mind comes in and been like, but it wasn't really my fault, but it wasn't really their fault. And then they feel bad that their logical mind is fighting their emotional mind because it's like, well, my emotions tell me to feel bad and I'm trying to talk myself out of feeling bad. Does that make me bad? No, it doesn't make you bad. It makes you healthy in that you're allowing yourself to process the emotional thought and why it came to be that thought. And then your logical mind is letting you process it in a healthy way to where if the emotion isn't healthy for you, if the emotion isn't beneficial, that logical brain is there to fight those feelings so you don't go fucking insane, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Right. I appreciate you sharing that little bit of part of you, man. And I'm sorry you had to go through something like that. Like, that's watching a friend that you think is going to be okay, then all of a sudden hearing that they pass away is, especially in the third grade, especially in a small town. I could only imagine how many people were affected by that.
Oh yeah. I mean the whole community.
Right, the whole community, but especially somebody that lives down the street, somebody you spend your free time with, hanging out, playing. I mean, who knows? Like, wow. I appreciate you sharing that part of your childhood with us, and sharing your thought process and how you came to the thought process you're at now, because I think what you just demonstrated is a healthy way to process that emotion. It might have taken you a very long time to do it, but you're doing it. You did it. That's a healthy way to do it. What's unhealthy is allowing your emotion to take over that feeling of what happened, and then continuing that emotion and continuing to not allow that logic part of you to have a say. That's unhealthy. But you're allowing yourself to be healthy in your thought process. You probably didn't even realize it, but that's what you're doing. You're being healthy in that.
You're actually opening up my eyes more to the whole process right now, actually.
Well, look, I am no mental health expert at all, right? And I say that all the time. I'm not a mental health expert, but I am an expert at sharing my story and sharing with you the information that I've learned through my process, through my therapy, through my psychiatry appointments, through my medication, through my research. And when I tell you I've done research, I've done a shit ton of research, especially if I'm going to be somebody that advocates for talking about mental health. You are doing something very, very healthy for yourself without even realizing you're doing something healthy for yourself, which is good. Continue to think that way. Allow yourself to be emotional about it, but then go back and really process it, right? And that's okay. It's okay to not be okay. Go back, process it, and then realize, you know what? I don't have to be not okay about this. I can realize the facts here. I can put the facts into play with my emotions and kind of keep them in check. I can still be sad about what happened. I can still be upset about what happened. Hell, I can still be mad at the people for whatever reason about it. But logically, I understand that it wasn't their fault.
Yeah.
Logically, I can understand they didn't have a say.
No,
they did everything that they knew how to do at that point in time, right?
Yep.
And that's okay to do. I want to backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Because we went from your experience into you going into the civil service, into the first responder realm. And you started this off by saying, I didn't even want to be in the civil service. I didn't even want to be a first responder. Oh, so you were thinking about being a Leo?
Obviously, yes.
Oh,
growing up in the police family, yes.
Oh my! Podcast over, bro. Podcast over. Bro.
That was my whole life dream, childhood dream. I was going to be a cop, just like my dad.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? If it's following your father's footsteps, fine. I get it.
So like,
but what the fuck happened? What the fuck happened? You realized, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and be the cop's real hero here.
Yeah. That's what ended up happening. It was a bit of a sharp turn in my life.
Take us through it.
So yeah, like I said, growing up, because when my father was younger, he, I guess 78, he would have joined the fire department as a volunteer, and he was in the fire department for many years. And then when I was, like I said, when we moved to the town where I grew up, I was talking about, he was active with that volunteer fire department. And then he left the structural firefighting service for a while. You know, me and my brother were still pretty young. He had just moved, he's focusing on his career. You know, we got a lot going on. So he ends up leaving the structural firefighting service for a while. He's still doing forest fire though. So growing up, I would say maybe we're, 5th, 6th grade-ish, I guess. Now all I see is just, my dad as a cop. His cousin is also a cop. And so that's all I wanted to be. Like, I was just going to be a cop like my dad. and childhood dream. My best friend growing up, still friends with him today. He was I don't know if he wanted to be a cop as bad as I did, but I know he was the guy that was always going to the military and then going to go be a cop. Same thing happened to him. He went to the military, became a firefighter too. But
not mad at it.
So I graduate high school. I start lifeguarding, and at the time my dad was not the chief, but I joined the dive rescue team. My dad's the chief of that dive rescue team right now, but I joined the team with my dad. So I'm lifeguarding, doing the dive rescue. 23, I finally get my break, and I get hired by a county sheriff's department. I'm in the police academy, doing my thing. It's going really well. Like, I mean, I view it as going really well. Firearms week comes, and it's not going very well. Essentially, what we all come up with is I shot my whole life. I formed bad habits, and about, I think, 8 of us end up failing out on firearms week. You shoot 180 rounds. 144 is passing. I shot 142 and got kicked out of the police academy.
By 2 shots.
Yep. I think.
How did that make you feel? I want to stop. I want to stop right here, because here you are, literally chasing your dream as a child, and you fail out by 2 shots. I want to know what that process was like for you.
When they told me, like, I couldn't even, like, I didn't even know what was, like, I was in disbelief. My dad's one cousin, he was, at this time, he was the chief warrant officer for the sheriff's department that I was in. He was the first person I called, and even he, like, couldn't believe it. He said, like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, what do I do? Like, I don't.
How old were you when this was going on?
I was 23.
Okay.
So I'm just like, I'm in complete and utter disbelief that whole day. Like, we get brought in front of the director of the police academy. He officially discharges us, and I think it's the next day. Pretty sure it's the next day. My cousin calls me and officially tells me I'm being released from the sheriff's department, and it actually takes me a couple years to realize just how much it affected me. I used to be this crazy confident guy. Like, I was like, if I want it, I'm going for it. I'm getting it. I'm doing it. Like, literally nothing's going to stop me. Like, that's if I want this, I'm doing it. You can't stop me. It goes back to high school. It's like, I always bring this up, if I'm talking about this, like, it's my senior year in high school. It's spring season. I've played lacrosse my whole high school career, but my dream is to have a state championship. I quit lacrosse to go run track. I come out of my senior year with like 3 or 4 state championships. That's who I was. Like, if I wanted it, I got it. And then now all of a sudden, I don't have my lifelong dream. Like, I thought that's what I was supposed to do. Like, that's who I was supposed to be. I grew up in a cop's family. I know so many cops. My brother's a cop. My cousin's a cop. At this point, I'm friends with a lot of the police officers in my dad's department, and pretty much all of them are. It's like, yeah, you go with the sheriff's department. We'll get you in this. We'll get you over here soon. You just go with the sheriff's department, get your cert. Get your training, go become a cop, and once we hire, boom. I did construction, like, as a side gig for one of the cops that he's like my best friend. He's like a second dad to me for years with him. It's like, so my entire life is just police. And all of a sudden, boom, nothing. Like, I'm out. It sent me in a downward spiral. Like, more than I kind of realized at the time. Definitely more than I realized at the time. I had no idea just how bad this affected me. Just how much it, like, hit me in my confidence and made me, like, think, that if I can't become a cop, now what can I do? You know, I've just disappointed my father, I disappointed my brother, disappointed the guy, this father figure of mine. You know, now I'm texting all these other, you know, cops that are closer to my age, like, yeah, you know, I didn't get in, you know. And now at this point, a cousin my age is a police officer too. And my other cousin is going through the process to become a state trooper. It's like, and here I am. I can't even pass the police academy. Like my entire family, all cops, all my friends, cops, everyone I know, cops. You know, I just felt like this huge disappointment. Like I was supposed to fill these shoes. Like, look at my brother. He moved to California and became a federal agent. He joined Border Patrol, and at this point, he was taken off the streets, and he was on like a special team. There was like not quite a SWAT team, but like they did their investigations in the raid houses. It was a highly selected team, and there wasn't very big. And I'm looking, and like I just like can't believe it. It's like no, like this can't be. You know, my one cousin's chief warrant officer. My father is retired from his municipal police job as a SWAT officer, as, you know, school resource officer. He's now the chief of the county park police department, and I'm like, and I'm not going this way now. Like, what do I do? And my one friend that went to the Marines ends up becoming a firefighter. He gets out. This dude has fought fire in Antarctica. He's one of the best firefighters I know. And I know
probably wasn't that hard fighting fire in Antarctica.
It's different. Yeah, I wish I could get into it for you, but I hear you. It's crazy.
I'm giving him shit.
No, I know.
Sure he'll way like more difficult. Fuck.
He'll like to hear that shit.
Fuck.
Just open the window. It'll freeze it. Dude, it was colder in New Jersey when he was in Antarctica.
What the fuck?
Yes. Yep.
What part of Antarctica was he in?
What was he? He was at McMurdo Station. Yep. He sends me a picture. He's wearing a sweatshirt and sleeves are rolled up. I'm like, what? He's like, yep. It's like, it's summertime here. It's only, I think he said it was like 30 degrees or some shit.
Dude,
like,
you're literally on a polar ice cap. What the fuck?
Yeah, I know. So he's actually back in New Jersey. I can't keep his timeline straight.
You don't.
I think he's, yeah, whatever. I forget what he's doing I don't know what he's doing as a career right now, but he's with the volunteer fire department.
Okay.
So the volunteer fire department in my town actually gets shut down about 10 years ago. So the town over, it's the one he's a part of. It's the one my dad was involved with and everything. He's like, well, why don't you just come do the fire thing? And I'm just like, okay. Sure.
Do you think that was a quote unquote pop out? Sorry, I had to. I'm sorry.
Cop out. I copped out being a cop.
Sorry. No, that was stupid.
Great.
That was a dumb fucking joke. I am sorry, family.
Great.
I am. What makes us fire? I am so sorry. That was a really stupid
that was great.
joke.
No, I love it. Oh. That's good. So he's like, come on over. And I'm like, all right, fuck it. Let me go see what this fire thing's about. You know, it's not like I had anything against firefighters. Just it wasn't my plan. It was not what I was doing.
Right.
So I was like,
that, and you grew up hearing cops talking shit about firefighters. To be honest.
Yeah. So he brings me. All the guys know who I am instantly, you know, because they still know my dad. And so I joined. Little side note, I just want to bring a funny story up real fast.
Go for it, bro.
It's the first or second. I don't know. I'm brand new. They're showing me how to fill the air bottles. He's my captain at the time. He plays a big role in my fire career. He's captain of the volunteer fire department at the time. A couple guys are showing me how to fill the air bottles. They're busting my balls a little bit, like, you know, you can blow up, blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting there like, wait, do I believe them? Like, can I blow us all up if I do this wrong, right? So I'm a little nervous, and apparently it's showing. So they give me the bottle. They're like, all right, you watch us do it. I'm like, okay. So I'm filling the bottle. I like turn a knob, and the captain's standing there, and there's a real flimsy tin shelf. he smacks that fucking thing and yes, lets out a scream. My heart jumped. I legitimately thought I just blew everybody up. I was like, "Oh, what the fuck!" And then, of course, everyone's now cracking up because I actually like screamed, thinking like I just killed everybody. Anyway, so yeah, he gets me over there. I join. I roll on a couple fires before I've gone to fire school. Kind of sit outside, grab guys' tools, and I'm like, "Yeah, it ain't half bad." I go to fire school. That's pretty cool. I'm having a good time there. And I get to actually go on my first house fire, and I get to actually do something except, hey, get the Halligan. Hey, go hook up the line. Hey, go do, And my very first job is got a ladder, the side of the house, and go hit, bust out the vent on that side of the house. And the captain tells me to do it. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. Throw the ladder up, got my axe, climb up there. I even did the leg lock, man. He even locked my leg in. Now, let me just say this. I've never had experience with side vents at this moment in my life. I had no idea that they were very light plastic. I swing this fucking axe like my life depended on it, dude. Whoop. Axe goes right through the vent, right inside. And I'm just like,
well, the vent's gone.
What? And I look down, and that captain is laughing his fucking ass off, like just dying. And he's like, get back down here. My buddy's there. They send me in with him. They want me to go in, put the fire out. I'll go get the axe later. And so I'm in there with him, putting out this fire, and I'm just like, I can't even explain. You know the feeling, I'm sure. I'm like, this is fucking amazing. Like, I'm running into a house fire. Like, I'm putting this freaking fire out. Like, what is this shit? Like, I have all these cool tools. Like,
and you're inside the fire.
Yeah, I'm in the house right now with my buddy. I'm backing him up. He's on the nozzle. And I was just like, yeah, this is fucking awesome. Like, this is the shit. So I'm real getting into it. I go to fire 1. Immediately after fire 1, I start fire 2. And then I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go get my EMT cert. We run an ambulance at the fire department. I'm like, let me go get my EMT cert. So I go get my EMT cert. Catching jobs, a few, like I said, slow department. Cutting cars, fucking awesome. Get my EMT cert, and I get hired by a private, transport company. I do that for about 8. Yeah. Yeah. I did that for about 8
Hold on.
months.
I want to stop you right there. I know you do it. You do it for about 8 months. I'm going to stop you right there. All my private EMS crew listening to this right now.
I wave at you guys. This is my civil server.
We have been there.
We have.
We know.
We have.
The nightmares.
We have. We have been there.
Horrible feeling that you feel.
Every day going to work.
You are just a fucking taxi.
Yeah.
Oh God, I hated private transport.
I'm pretty sure
it's needed. It's needed. It's needed.
The dialysis smell is still in my nose.
Oh my God. Oh, yeah. Dude. No. Look,
yep.
I will not shame any of my patients for being sick, right? They were sick. They had no control over it. But they're rotting diabetic feet or rotting appendages that they're about to get amputated because they're on dialysis, and that smell.
Oh, and the flakiness.
Never forget that smell. Oh my God, the flakiness.
You move the sheet. Oh, get me out of this. Yeah.
Like, we were wearing masks before it was a cool thing to do for COVID. Like, we were wearing masks because we didn't want to breathe in another person's flaky skin. Yeah, I hear we hear your dog. Your dog is going fucking crazy right now, dude. We hear him.
They hear you. It's my search and rescue dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do this for 8 months.
Put the Vicks in the mask. Yeah. When it was real bad. About 8-9 months, I guess. I think it was 8 months. I'm at the fire department meeting. Like, captain comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, you want to work as part time?" Since I joined, he got hired at a career department. He moves up in. He's the director of safety, so he's now actually in charge of the fire department.
This is your friend, right? Your close friend?
No, this is the captain of the volunteer fire department.
All right, got you.
So he comes to me and he's like, "Hey, you want to be a part-time firefighter?" Yeah, obviously. Like, what? Of course, I want to be a part-time firefighter. And they're increasing the staffing at the fire department. And so I go over there, fill out the application. My captain, I think he was purposely playing it down. He's like, you might get a call from the chief. Blah blah. We'll see. Chief calls me up. I'm ecstatic. I'm actually driving to the hospital on a transport when the fire chief at the time calls me. I'm like,
you weren't on your phone while you were driving. You weren't on your phone while you were driving. You were hands free.
I switched. We partnered and I switched.
You were hands free. You were hands free when you were driving.
Hands free. And so he calls me, tells me, come on in, come in. And they hire me. And I'm like, oh shit. And even now, paid fire departments in South Jersey are very rare. We're still very big on the volunteers. Within the past 5 to 8 years, the bigger towns have gone paid, but just about every single one is still a combination. It's very, very rare in South Jersey that you have a strictly career fire department. You have a paid crew and the volunteers. So it's almost unheard of to get hired as a firefighter. So here I am. I'm a part timer. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I can't freaking believe this. I work as a part timer for about a year. Pretty much every month my schedule would change. Sometimes every 2 weeks my schedule would change. It was when they needed me. Hey, you're working nights. Hey, you're working day. Hey, we actually need you to work these days. Hey, work here. Whatever. I don't care. I'm a freaking paid firefighter, right? About a year into it, we're having trouble increasing staffing. So they don't want me as part-time anymore. So they make me what is called an 80% employee. Pretty much, I don't know if you guys have that down there. I'm just 80%.
Because if you work more than 80%, they have to give you benefits. 80% is the cutoff where they don't have to give you benefits and they don't have to spend more money on you. Yes, okay. I know exactly what that is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm an 80% employee now. Do that for about a year, and we finally got the nod to get some more full timers and to increase the staffing more than just the full timers we had, and we had a couple full part timers. And this November will be 6 years, and I can't believe it's been 6 years already. And I'm at a point. I'm sorry to all my firefighter friends. It has really only been the past 2 years where I have accepted my role in life, accepted what happened to me with the police department. Because up until then, I was actively trying to leave and get into the police department. Highly enjoyed what I was doing. Loved being a firefighter. Loved being an EMT. Don't get me wrong. Loved it. But I was still...
Look, I'm not even going to let you try to... No. Fuck that. Do not try. Do not try to... Look, if your friends and your fellow coworkers don't understand that you were still trying to chase your childhood dream, fuck them. Seriously. That means they don't understand that you were trying to still do what your dream was. When you were a kid, you were still trying to follow your childhood dream.
Yeah.
Do not fucking explain yourself. Don't explain yourself. Look, you accepted where you're at now and you want to go headfirst into everything that you are now, right? You made that decision. You said it's been 2 years where you made that decision. I am where I am, and I want to make everything of it, and I want to be the best at what I'm doing now. But up until 2 years ago, yes, I was still trying to chase my childhood dream. And if you have a fucking problem with that, too fucking bad. Exactly. I love you guys, but if you don't understand that I was still trying to chase my childhood dream, fuck off.
Yeah.
Don't explain yourself to that. You don't have to say, I loved what I did. It wasn't anything like that. No, I loved you guys. No, fuck you. I was trying to chase my dream. for me. It was for me. It wasn't anything against you guys. It wasn't anything against the career as being a firefighter. It wasn't against anything like that. I was just trying to chase a childhood dream. But 2 years ago, I made the decision that this is what I was meant to do, and I am not leaving anymore. That's it. That's all you have to say.
Yeah.
That's
No, I hear you.
And if
I
they
hear
don't
you.
understand it, too fucking bad.
Yeah.
You know, your real friends are going to be like, you know what? At least you were honest, brother. We're here. Let's keep growing.
Yeah. I mean, like my close friends, they all knew that I was still trying to be, still wanting to be a cop, still wanting to, something. I think it was just a matter of acceptance for me that I didn't disappoint my brother, my father, my one father figure, and all my friends. That was a lot of it. For a long time, I felt inferior to them because they got to be cops. I didn't get to be a cop. And it was acceptance that, like, I didn't disappoint anyone. This is what was leading. This is where I was supposed to be. This is, I was supposed to go be a firefighter. And how many cops are like, I'll do a very shortened story of that. And they're like, well, why the fuck did you want to be a cop? Like, I want to do what you do. How do I get your job? But
I hear that all the time, literally from every cop I talk to.
Yeah. So it was.
I'm kidding. It's not every cop I talk to, just mostly.
Oh, I hear it. I hear it a lot. I hear it a lot, especially right now. Sorry, guys, you got your back, but I hear it a lot. But it was just accepting, what happened. That, yeah, okay, I failed in firearms. Did not make me any less of a person. Just because I'm not a cop, I'm not any less of a first responder.
Oh, absolutely fucking not.
Yeah, it just, like you said, accepting not fulfilling my childhood dream does not make me any less of a person.
Correct.
So
absolutely correct. Period. End of story.
So, that's but it. Yeah, I don't even. I'm firefighter till the end.
Awesome. Well, brother, I'm glad you saw the light side and not the dark side. Man,
depends on the family you ask.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story, man. Like that's a lot to deal with, right? When you're trying to figure out what to do with the rest of your life as a career. Granted, we still have family issues to deal with. We still have love life. We still have finding a house, finding a place to live. We still have all these other aspects of our lives, not just our career, that we have to deal with. You took us through a little bit of everything there because, believe it or not, becoming a first responder, everybody out there, is part of who you are. It's not like going, oh, I work here, but this is who I am. For firefighters and cops and EMTs and military personnel, it's part of who we are. We don't get to separate that from who we are or what we do. It's literally a factor of how we become who we are.
Yeah.
You don't look at somebody as a waiter or a bartender or an industrial operator in the oil fields or whatever. You don't look at them and say, well, he's an operator in the oil plant, so this is why he acts this way. No, it doesn't work that way. But with first responders, you can definitely say, well, he is a firefighter, he is a cop, he is an EMT. That's why when certain issues come up, he acts this way or she acts this way. Like it's literally, it becomes a part of how we act, who we are.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes a part of literally our entire life.
Oh yeah.
Because now our minds are being shaped now forever from what we see, what we do, how we react, the tones when they go off in the middle of sleep, all that fucks with our brains. And now we are going to literally be shaped by the job we are doing without even thinking, processing, or wanting, and or whatever. It just happens because we decided to do this.
Yeah.
And you took us through that. I wanted to ask you a question real quick. Do you think you would have been as strong in your push or as wanting in your push to become a firefighter had it not been for your friend bringing you in?
No. I if he was off some other part of the world and wasn't there to say, "Hey, come over here," I have no idea what I'd be doing right now. I don't think I would have become a firefighter.
So
he's probably going to hear that for the first time,
and that's fine. But
that's good. I should have told him a long time ago. But yeah.
But I mean that says something about the people in our life and how they can or cannot influence us to make better decisions for our lives, right? I think you made a great decision becoming a firefighter. I think you made a great decision and acknowledgement that 2 years ago that, you know what, this is what I am. This is what I was meant to do. And my new dream now is to become the best firefighter that I can be and to grow within this line of service and not and stop looking to become that cop or sheriff or whatever. And that's not a bad thing. It doesn't define you. Now you're defining yourself within the service that you're in.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
You define your worth based on what you are doing, not based upon what you thought you should be doing or based upon what others thought you would be doing. Now you're defining your worth based on what you are doing now and what you want to do now.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's a huge acknowledgement.
Yeah.
That's a huge acknowledgement to yourself. And you took us literally through your whole thought process through all that. And if people don't realize that you did that, well, then they're dense. Fucking water down that denseness, open up a little bit, hear this guy's story. You guys literally, he took you through his whole thought process, this fighting this idea that because he didn't become his childhood dream, he was less than. And then finally realizing that not becoming that childhood dream doesn't define his worth to himself or to anybody else.
Takes a bit, but you'll get there.
It took you how many years? From the time you tried to be a cop until the time 2 years ago.
Well, I mean, you talk about like all remembrance of my life. You know, my whole life I want to be a cop. But
so up to 2 years ago.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
31.
So literally, it took you 29 years to realize that not achieving something like that doesn't define who you are.
Yeah. Takes a while.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And sometimes things happen in a certain way that get us to that point. For you, it was your friend. It was your best friend.
Yep.
That's huge. You're not like the people in our lives actually have a really big effect. Granted, the choice is finally ours. I get that. The choice is ultimately ours.
Yeah, I could have still said no or whatever.
Right. But the people that we choose to have in our lives are either going to help us grow or they are going to keep us down.
Yeah.
You have somebody in your life that helped you grow. That's huge. And to whoever your friend is, I don't know his name.
Ryan, he knows. He already know who I'm talking about. But yeah.
Ryan, brother, fucking badass on you for supporting your brother here in Devon and lifting him up and showing him a different path. That is huge. So Ryan, brother, from a brother in red to another brother in red, thank you for being that for somebody else. Just in life in general. Just not as another firefighter, but in life in general. We need those type of people. I'm going to switch script, bro. And I want to dive into what it's been like for you being a firefighter. What it's been like for you being a first responder. We went through your childhood, how you grew up, what you thought you were going to be doing as you were growing up, your failure. And it was a failure to become a cop, but then your acceptance of that failure and then growing yourself into another aspect of life. That's all you did.
Yeah.
Failure does not mean defeat. So now you're a firefighter. You've been a firefighter for what, 6 years full time now?
Almost. It's like 5.5 years full time, and then
so full time.
Since I've started volunteering, 6 years.
Okay, so
Total,
6 years.
total
6 years total as a firefighter, the first responder in the fire room. Through that time, through your process of all that, you've seen a lot already. You've dealt through a lot already. You've seen what your father's been through. You saw your brother going through it. I'm sure they shared stories and things that they've seen and how they dealt with it. But I'm not worried about them. I'm not worried. I'm curious. How did you, or when did you realize that this job was going to affect you the way it did?
Probably because I was, if you remember, I was on dive rescue team since I was 18.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember you saying that, and your dad was the captain or chief or whatever.
So we don't do a lot of rescues, mostly do recoveries.
Right.
So early on in that, and it's like, the first time you go and the first body, like I still remember, we go and it was an 11-year-old boy. And it's like, I do remember at one point, like, because like you said, I hear all stories that my dad says. I hear all stories my cousin say. But I remember like looking, and I'm not an EMT or anything yet, so I just helped get the body out. And EMTs there, I think they even started working them. Maybe even paramedics, probably paramedics both. I don't know. At the time, I don't remember.
It was a pretty quick rescue then. If they thought they can, if they thought that they can work him.
Yeah, it was the doctor said it was like the water. Now I know I don't really know why the medical director ordered it but it had to do with the water temperature. And so they're doing CPR. I guess I'm sure it was the EMTs and the paramedics. I don't remember that part's fine details because I didn't know the difference back then. I don't know. Maybe I did. I remember thinking like, this is what my dad has dealt with for like 30 years now. 25 years. Like this is like this is what I'm going to deal with. This is what I'm going to do. It wasn't a deterrent. It was more of like oh shit. And
it was a realization.
I remember asking how long. I said, well, when do you stop doing CPR? And I was like if it's not this type of case, like if it's just, you go, it's cardiac, when do you do you only do it for like 10 minutes? Like when do you stop? And the answer was, you don't. And I was like, you don't? They're like, no, you don't stop. You do it until the hospital. Like you never stop CPR. You continue doing CPR. And again, like, I guess because, the only CPR I knew was, in a movie, they did like half-ass CPR for 30 seconds and the person's running around shooting again. Obviously, I knew it wasn't like that, but that was the first time I realized. I was like, wow, this is the life I want to get into. Now, at the time, it was more police, but police still go on cardiac arrest. They still do this stuff. And I'm just like, oh, okay, this is what I'm getting into. I'm pretty good with all the calls I go on. Pretty good with, this happened, processing it, move it on. It is what it is. The drownings, though, because ever since I've been doing that now, 12 years, I've only ever had one drowning where the person was over the age of 17. The rest of them, one was 17 and the rest were 12 years and younger, 14 years and younger. Those ones stick around, especially the younger they are. I mean, it's bad, but the younger they are, those ones always seem to stick around.
Why do you think that is? I've been really, and I'm sorry to kind of go on a side
go
rabbit hole here. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is for us as first responders? If the victim is a little bit older, we're able to kind of you know what? It sucks. It's horrible. But what's for lunch? But when it comes to the younger victim, is it a guilt? Is it a feeling sorry for? Is it like why? And I wanted to really ask this question and dive into it. Why is it when we come across an adolescent that doesn't make it and we're there, why does it hit us so much harder than, say the difference between a 12-year-old and a 24-year-old, or a 12-year-old or a 6-year-old and even 18-year-old? Why does it hit us so much harder when it's an adolescent? Is it because it's a society thing? Is it because it's like, I mean, look, I'm 35, but if an 18-year-old passes, it doesn't hit me as hard as a 6-year-old. And I've always questioned, and I really have to question, and I think it's healthy to question the reason why. Why is that? Why does that affect us so much more when we know that death is not selective? Death is not just because you're older, it's okay. And just because you're younger, it's not. Like, death happens to everybody. It just happens at different times. And there is no realistically, there is no defined timeline when somebody goes. Realistically, logically, you're going to go when you're going to go. Whether it's by accident or natural causes, you're going to go when you're going to go. No matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, sooner or later, it's going to happen. Sometimes sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Are we upset because they couldn't experience life? Are we upset because... Are we less upset because they experienced a longer life than us, or they experienced enough life? Where's that cutoff? When do I start feeling like, that was long enough, it's not going to bother me that much? Or, wow, they didn't experience life as long as I did, I feel bad. Like, what do you think that is? And this is the first time I'm really getting into this with anybody, Devon. And so I want your honest opinion. And if you think I'm fucked up for thinking the way I'm thinking, tell me.
No, I think, look, I say probably most of us do.
But for me, it's like, when it's a kid, I don't know. I really had to evaluate it. And I'm still evaluating. Is it because I feel like, well, they didn't get to live life? Well, what is life? Is life going through the shit I went through? Because if they were destined to live through the shit I went through and the trauma I had to go through, I don't know if I'd want them to live that life. Or is it because we have this idea that they could have lived an amazing life? They could have been. And that's anxiety, right? We think about the things that could have been. We're not fortune tellers. We don't know. That kid could have grown up to be a murderer. We don't know. Right? Let's be honest. We don't know.
No.
But we still feel horrible when it's a child. And I don't know why. I don't know why. We can write off the 50-something-year-old that just had a cardiac arrest.
It's true.
Work them as much as we can. Try to do everything for them. They don't make it. It's like, fuck, we did everything we can. Hey, we still having sloppy joes for lunch? But when it comes to an adolescent, we do the same thing. Work them as much as we can. Maybe even harder. Without even realizing it. Doing everything we can. They still don't make it. And now we're like, I don't want to eat.
I think it's a couple of the different things all put together that you just said. A lot of it, to me, I think it's like, it's the society norms almost, like the innocence of childhood. Like, you look at a child, children, they're supposed to have this happy, carefree, go-lucky life. That's how we view it as. And now what are we looking at? We're looking at a lifeless body. We're looking at a child that was supposed to be, running in the field with their puppy, and now here it is. It's lifeless, and it's like, why? Why at such a young age? What power in this universe, whatever you believe in, why, if it's just random, like you said, that's just that person's life. Like, why is it this 3-year-old, this 4-year-old, when we're supposed to live out like the norm? It's like the old cliche saying, you're not supposed to bury your children, you're supposed to bury your parents. And you see, it just, you're looking at this kid, this innocent child that just got this short end of the stick, and it's like, I just, normal society standards say that's not supposed to happen to a kid. That's supposed to be, this kid's still supposed to be drinking juice and watching Sunday cartoons, if kids even still do that. And I don't know, like, is it like a fault that you're right? Actually, you said 50-something-year-old. My last cardiac arrest was 56-year-old. We did what we did. It didn't make it. I mean, and that's still young. My dad's 61. This guy was 56. I mean, it's still young. But yeah, I still remember all the times you had to pull out a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, and it does hit you harder. Just, it lingers there. It lingers with you. You can't just let it go.
Do you think what it is that we're battling with is the unknown of the possibility of what that child could have been or could have done? We're battling with the what ifs and not so much the what is.
I've never looked at it that way, but now that you bring that up, you got a 11-year-old. Like, what was this kid supposed to be? Like, what if this kid wasn't here and he grew up? What could he have been? What was he supposed to be? Or it begs you the question: is this what he was supposed to be, or was he supposed to be something else? And this was just a terrible accident. I think that's one of those questions that each one of us first responders are probably going to grapple with our entire career. And honestly, this part probably sucks. I don't know if we're ever going to answer that question. I think we answer it to the best of our abilities. To me, it's, seeing the innocence of childhood. I know I just said that, but going back to that's what I see. I see my daughter running around, not a care in the world, just playing with her puppies, running through the grass, and change stations. Here's a kid it's not dead. Like, it's not supposed to happen. Not that you're supposed to die in your 50s either, but definitely not supposed to die when you're a kid.
I have this theory that those of us who have children, children hit a different way. And I'm sorry I'm going off into this tangent, but I haven't had this conversation with somebody, and I want to have it with you because both you and I we're in the same field. And I believe it's the same no matter what first responder you are, no matter what civil servant you are, whether you be military or cop, firefighter, EMT, even dispatchers, nurses, doctors, any of us that have to deal with adolescents that lose their life. We grapple with the what if. We grapple with the what could have been. We grapple with the possible future. And I think that is what is killing us. That is what is really making us affected by what we're seeing and what we're doing. We're grappling with the what could have been, with the what if, instead of really taking it back and being like, this is what was, this is what is. And we try to fight this unknown future, this future we had in our heads for that individual, that adolescent. And it's a future that in our heads is worth living for. And
it's funny you say it, not funny, but that actually brings me to Brittany. Anytime I think about her, it always comes back to man, what would it be like today? Like, what if she was still alive? Would I be friends with her? Would we Would we have gone into a relationship? Would I not talk to her anymore? Would she have just been this girl that lived down the street back when I was in grade school? Like, what would she have been now? I always think about that. So what you're bringing up that's pretty spot on, actually, because I've been doing it now for freaking 25 years on the same person. So
you started doing that when you were in 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And
so you that's a very good point that you bring up.
It begs the question, why do we allow adolescence to hit us that hard? I'm not saying don't let it hit you that hard. I'm not saying that. Anybody listening, I'm not saying that an adolescent losing their life is not worse than or less than what it is that it makes us feel. I'm just saying maybe we should question why. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. Just let's question why. Because we are literally putting ourselves into a depression. We're putting ourselves into a PTSD state of mind because we can't comprehend the why. When really, we shouldn't be trying to comprehend the why. We should be trying to comprehend the what is, what was. Not the what ifs, not the what could have been. Because the what ifs and what could have been, those are things that we are coming up with our minds. Those are the things that we are making up. Those are the things that we don't know whether or not would have been true or not. You would literally have to be a fortune teller to know these answers. And we're killing ourselves. And we're putting ourselves into this depressive state of mind when it comes to children.
Yeah.
And we're not allowing ourselves to just be what life is. And then sometimes it's just fucking tragic.
Yeah, you're right. That's that's like the easy answer, but it's like maybe it's just not the answer we want to hear. It's just tragic. It's like somebody that was supposed to live so long. Why is the answer so easy as it was just a tragedy? Like something so terrible and should not be answered so simply. But you know what? Maybe it is just answered that simply.
That doesn't make
change.
It doesn't make it easier. Simple does not make it easy.
No,
let's get that straight.
Not at all. It's still
not make
horrible.
It easy.
It's still terrible. But maybe we're just trying to make it more than what it's supposed to be and more than what it actually is to try to make it make sense. I mean, saying that it's just a tragedy. You're probably right. Yeah, it probably is. It's just a tragic accident. But then you're like, well, she was so small. He was so small. He was so young. What was going to happen? Like, why at such a young age? So that is a very good point you bring up.
Well, I appreciate you going down that rabbit hole with me, man. It's a conversation I've been wanting to have with somebody for a long time. And I appreciate you being willing to listen to at least my perspective and sharing yours.
Yeah, you bring up. Yeah, I mean, it's like I know what I did when it came to Brittany, but it's like you the way you say it, it's like, oh, actually, I do that to this day. What's the what if that surrounds her? And like I said, you can't answer that. There is no answer to what if. There is no answer to why. There's only the answer to what happened.
Right. And that's what I think a lot easier said than done, because I still struggle with it. But I think that's what we need to strive to do, is to comprehend the what happened and try not to kill ourselves on the what ifs and what could have been.
Yeah, because even though we try to make up some story of what could have been, there is nothing past what happened. That is what happened. You don't have to ask yourself the what if, but I guess it's some dark coping mechanism we tried to do. Well, what if this happened? Or what if she was like this? What if he was going to do this?
Well, it's not really coping, because asking those questions don't allow us to actually deal with what happened.
That's true. It's not an effective one, that's for sure.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to switch subjects. I just wanted to let you know, thank you for allowing me to bring that up and have that conversation with you, because it was something that's been on my mind. It is a conversation that I've wanted to have with somebody on What Makes Us Fire, to let people know that these are things that we do deal with. These are things that we do have to process. And sometimes it's very hard for us to do so because we have these questions. And I thank you for allowing me to bring that up. I thank you for sharing your point of view on it. And just thank you for being open to hearing it, because I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. I know it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for me to even say the things I'm saying, but at the same time, I'm like, have to. I'm doing my. What you're hearing me say is me literally fighting my emotional brain and spewing out the logical brain stuff. Because my emotional brain is telling me, "Fucker, that was a kid. What the fuck are you thinking? That was a kid. What are you talking about? Just deal with what happened. What if they could have done this? What if they could have done that? What if you could have done more?" Like, this is what my emotional brain is yelling at me right now to just start screaming. My logical brain is telling me, if you do that,
it's just a rabbit hole.
You're going to hate yourself.
Yeah, there's questions you're asking that can't be answered. Exactly. It's not going to explain anything. It's not going to answer anything. They can't be.
Exactly. Again, thank you.
But like you said, this is go
ahead.
This the whole point of this podcast is to make the uncomfortable comfortable. So
that's the whole point of What Makes Us Fire. Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely.
I'm going to bring us back, and because I interrupted you, and I apologize, and we went down a freaking 20-minute rabbit hole.
Don't worry about it.
I asked you, when did you realize this job was what you were meant to do, or that when it was a little bit more than you thought it was going to be? What I'm wanting is, really, 2 years ago, you made the decision that this is what you were going to do. What was it for you that made you make that decision?
The accumulation of a few different things that went on. One that I'd already brought up was coming to the realization, the acceptance that because I didn't become a police officer does not make me any less than who I am right now. That realization came at the help of, and I'm not even sure he realized he did this for me. My father, I was talking about trying to become a police officer, and he said something. He was just like, you don't have to be a police officer. Like, you're a firefighter. It's not like my father ever said anything or ever even acted like he was disappointed in me, ever. Like, he made it 100% crystal clear that he was not. But it was whatever this one conversation, I guess it finally just hit me when he was like, you don't have to be a police officer. He had always said, like, you're a firefighter. That's great. You're a firefighter. And so the help of that realization, like, I don't have to be a police officer. I am who I am. And really taking a look at the firefighter role and the police officer role, and really, like, what is it? Like, why police officer? Why being a police officer is so different than being a firefighter? What about it? And ultimately, we're both doing the same thing. EMTs, police, fire. We're all doing the same thing. I'm not doing anything different. In the most basic sense, I'm not doing anything different than if I was a cop right now. Because, like you said, first responders is who we are. And who we are is an innate feature in us to just help people. That's what I'm doing. Don't get me wrong. I like to hit the air horn and the sirens, like we all do.
Okay, woo-woo.
Oh. Everybody that has ever worked with me is like, there it is. There's the whacker.
Yep, there's the woo-woo.
There he is. He had to bring it up. Had to say it at some point. And really, I mean, that's the big, that was really a big part of it. Probably the biggest part of it. One thing that I didn't actually bring up, not for any reason, I just kind of missed it, is part of always being a cop, and to some this might sound silly, I don't know, was always wanting to be a canine officer. Like, I wanted to be a cop, yes, but I was like, the first thing I'm going to do is become a canine officer. As a firefighter, I was like, well, I can't really be a canine handler. Ultimately, you can. And about the same time, I went and my dog, Gigi, and I started doing search and rescue training. And even saying it out loud sounds so trivial, but that helped me in ways deeper than I could probably even explain, because it was, it was helping me fulfill a small portion, I guess. But okay, great. I was able to become a canine handler. I was still a firefighter. I was still the same person who I was. I'm still Devon. I'm still going to do whatever I have to do to help people out. And putting all those together, I don't know, am I even making sense right now? I feel like I'm not even making sense. I'm rambling right now.
You're good. Keep going.
Just, all those kind of happened within a short period of time. And I don't know, it was like almost just like a switch flicked, I guess. It was just like, no, this is awesome. Like I'm a firefighter. I'm an EMT. And that in and of itself makes me who I am, because that's what I want to be now. It's not the wanting to be a cop. It's which kind of begs the question, like, am I letting being a firefighter define me as a person? A little bit. I mean, everyone knows I'm a firefighter, but I don't see anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. It sounds to me, Devon, that
I feel like I've rambled so bad right there. I don't even know.
No, you're good. No. I really look, but that's the thing, right? Like, these are the thought processes we have as first responders and are growing into becoming a first responder. We battle with these questions. We ask ourselves these questions all the time. Is this really what I was meant to do? Am I really happy doing what I'm doing? We battle with those questions. We do it. Everybody does. But what it seems to me is not necessarily when it comes to the actual job, for you, I'm hearing you talk, and it's like you came to the realization of your purpose. You came to the realization of what you were meant to do. It wasn't being a cop. As much as you wanted it to be, it wasn't. You came to the realization of your purpose of becoming a first responder in the fire realm. And you finally fucking accepted it wholeheartedly. You accepted, this is where I was meant to be. And you grappled with it because you grew up having this childhood dream. And then all of a sudden, 2 years ago, you're like, you know what? No, this is my purpose. This is what I was meant to do. And some of us, it takes longer than others to realize that purpose, but you realized it. And what it sounds like to me when I'm hearing you talk, it's like, I'm literally watching this man explain himself to when he realized and accepted his purpose as a man, as a person, as a human being. This was his purpose in life. And he finally accepted it. He finally realized it. And now he has grabbed a hold of it and he's not letting it go. He's going to become the best within this purpose that he finally accepts. He's going to do the best he can with it. That's huge. That's what I'm hearing when I hear your story. You say you're rambling. No, you're not rambling. You're how do you define and how do you talk to somebody and how do you tell somebody, this is how I realized my purpose in life? That's hard to say. Nobody can actually define that. It just becomes, it just is. You realized your purpose in life. And 2 years ago, you accepted finally, wholeheartedly, that this is your purpose and you're going to do the best you can with it. That's huge, dude. Yeah. Don't devalue yourself in that. Don't devalue yourself.
It's felt good, that's for sure. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, right?
Big weight lifted off my shoulders.
we're going to jump into the mental health things here for a second, because you know exactly what makes us fire is about. We're going to dive into the mental health aspect part of mental health part.
Mental health aspect part of what makes us fire.
Whiskey's good. Whiskey at 8:30 in the morning, really good. How I want to kind of go into this is, I like asking any personal experiences if you're willing to share. You don't have to. I understand sometimes that it's hard for us to admit that we deal with mental health issues, especially when we know our peers may or may not be listening. I have said, fuck it. Like, personally. And I don't judge anybody else for not having my point of view. So don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. I have come to the realization that for me to deal with my mental health and for me to be open about my mental health is beneficial for me. And it doesn't matter who hears it. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to ask you, through your life and through your experiences within the job, do you feel like you have dealt with and or are dealing with any type of mental health issues that either stem from the job or from your past?
Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know. Most of the issues that I have do not actually stem from the job yet, or whatever. It just comes from my past, my history. It was something that I wrote off for a very long time. Depression, anxiety. It was, when I was younger, a doctor, like a family doctor, had brought it up, like that I probably have depression and I should go seek more help. I think I'm like 19 at this point. I'm pretty sure I'm still in college, maybe 20. And I was just like, whatever. Okay. What is that? So I'm sad. Like, okay, whoop-dee.
What was it that you think brought you to that point where he would say something like that?
He was
I'm asking you to bring up the specific situation as to why you would be doing that. I'm asking you to share what it is that you think would be that made you this depressed person that he would say something like that. You don't have to share it, but I'm asking because I think when we talk about those specific things, when we let people know this is what it was, one, it makes it easier for us to talk about because we're talking about it out loud, right? We're not giving it the power to keep us silent, right?
Yeah.
Two, it allows others to hear your story, and your story actually might be very similar to others. And then it allows them to feel like they're not alone. So I'm asking you to let others know that they're not alone.
I don't think that I can bring it up to like one type of incident. Because recently, like very recently, 6-7 months ago, I guess it was, I won't get there yet. Anyway, so I think it was, I don't think it was one incident. It was I think it was just my brain chemistry and how I was going through school and high school and then even into college. I was I was like the loner kid. I was like the kid that not a lot of people hung out with. I was the kid that listened to emo music, didn't go to parties on Friday nights. And I can't really chalk it up to just one incident. And if there is that one incident, I do see a shrink. We haven't gotten there yet. We haven't figured it out. So if there was, I would share it. But I don't. And like I've thought about it a lot. And like, like I just said, go do a shrink. But I even he has not.
Let's not talk about that. Let's not say shrink. I think there is a condescending Now, granted, this is on individual people, but I think it's generally when people hear shrink, right, we automatically think bad. But when we say therapist, it's different, right? It's like, I don't know why we do that as human beings. I don't know why we tie quote unquote shrink to a condescending bad thing. It's not. It's not a bad thing. It's really not. It's actually a very healthy thing.
Yeah,
believe it or not.
it is. I think everybody should see a therapist.
Yeah.
I mean, it just helps with everyday stress, really. But
really, exactly. So I'm not telling you not to say shrink. I'm suggesting
I hear you.
we say therapist or counselor, whatever that person is.
Yeah, I guess technically he's a counselor. So I do go to him, and he has helped like tremendously. I like eye opening. But about I guess October, I think it was, is when I went on Lexapro, and it was I didn't get any of like the actual tests done, which I'm not even 100% sure they can do. It's under the belief that it's a chemical imbalance in my brain, not necessarily environmental.
Well, I'm going to stop you right there. Any type of mental health disease is a chemical imbalance. Period. End of story.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
Any type of mental health disease is a biological issue. It means that our brain is not producing the right chemicals for us to process the things we should be processing healthy.
Okay.
That's what depression is. That's what anxiety is. That's what PTSD is. Our brain chemicals are not allowing, either they're giving off too much, they're not giving enough, or they're not giving anything at all. That's what depression is. That is what mental health is. Mental health is a biological disease. And I think people really should understand that, because it is not just an environmental or something that's made up or something we can just get over. No, it's literally our brains not giving us the ability to process things that we should be healthy. That's what it is. 100%. It's a biological thing.
Yeah, when I said environmental, don't think I meant by like fake or anything. That's how it was explained to me, honestly. But since I've been on the Lexapro, after you get through that, I don't know, the zombie phase of going on this, it made a
Explain what Lexapro is for everybody that doesn't know what it is.
SSRI, it's an inhibitor, the serotonin inhibitor.
So what it does, it makes sure that serotonin doesn't go to the places that it's not supposed to go to.
Yeah.
That's what an SSRI, it regulates it. Sometimes what happens is our brains give off too much serotonin, and that serotonin goes to where it's not supposed to be going to, which enhances the feelings of depression, enhances the feelings of feeling like shit.
Yeah. From what I understand, I got beyond lucky, because I was picking the medicine. I was with my medical doctor at the time. First medicine they picked so far has worked. Then I know this is just for anyone else listening. Just because you go on an SSRI, from what I understand, it can make it worse, and then people come off it and never try it again. Usually it's a trial and error, from what I was told. And I got very lucky that they picked Lexapro. I went on it. After that first 2 months, it was a world of difference for me. And that I kind of, I think that's another stigma, which is, it's in and of itself, mental health is a big stigma. And we have to break that, but I also think you have to break going on medicines like Lexapro. It's like, the anxiety I have, I wouldn't say it's zero. Still have it. It's still there.
But you're able to process it better.
It doesn't control my life. It doesn't stop me from leaving my house and stop me from talking to somebody. I don't sit inside my brain obsessing over this one thing over and over and over and over again until it just drives you insane. And
your medicine allowed you to process your emotions.
Yeah.
In a healthy way. And so yeah, you know what? And I want to stop you. I think you did get really fucking lucky.
From people I've talked to, just from what the doctor was telling me.
Listen to Morgan Mott's podcast. Listen to Morgan Mott's podcast, A Warrior Among Us. She went through 14 different medications before she found the right one to work for her.
Yeah, it's I couldn't believe it. From everything I read, I said the first one you go on probably isn't going to work. Probably is going to make it worse, actually. And you just have to catch those, and then we'll try another one. And it is a shitty process to go to.
It's a very scary process to go through.
Because every time you go on it, even if it's not going to make your depression worse, you got to go through that zombie phase where you feel very hazy, and then you got to come off it, and you got to go on a different one. But
when you feel nothing, you feel numb.
Yeah, exactly. You just don't care.
What people deal with, the reason why they get so upset with being on it is because they would much rather feel an emotion than feel nothing at all. They hated feeling sad, but those first couple of months when you're on that kind of medication, you feel nothing. And then your body's like, well, I just want to feel something. I don't even care if it's making me sad. I just want to feel fucking something. And so they get off of it, and they don't allow it to build up in their system, and they don't allow it to do the job that it's meant to do. It is a hard fucking process going through medication. I'm on Prestige. I am on a medication that is an SNRI.
Okay.
Right? So it's not a serotonin booster, it's a serotonin leveler.
Okay.
In that it doesn't boost it or inhibit it, it levels it out. It makes it to where I still have the feelings that I have, right? I still have those emotions, but I'm able to not allow them to control my reactions.
Yeah.
That's what an SNRI does. An SSRI, what that does, it actually helps boost and or inhibit that serotonin from going to the wrong spaces.
Yeah.
For me, it was, I was giving off way too much in a space that didn't need as much as it was getting. And so now I still have my emotions. I still have the sad feelings. I still have the thoughts, but I'm able to process them a lot better now.
Yeah. The numbness, the not caring about anything does go away. It's a different time frame for some people. A guy in my firehouse, I'm not going to say his name just because I don't know if he wants to be talking about it. I don't think he cares if I did, but I was talking to him a lot about it. He's been on one for many years now, so I was really talking to him about it, and he went through 4 or 5 months of that feeling, but he stuck it out, and it's been years now. And then I was about 2 to 3 months.
I also want people to know, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry. But I just want people to know that because you go on this kind of medication, if you go on this kind of medication and you go to therapy and you learn the cognitive behavioral therapies, which are tools for you to rewire your brain because of neuroplasticity, which is only a few years old. It's always been there, but we finally actually proved it. We can rewire our brains. With this medication, with these types of medications, it's supposed to meant to help you rewire your brain. It does not mean you will have to be on it for the rest of your life, but you have to put in the work.
Yeah. And one of the pieces of advice that was given to me is when you go on it and you get through that phase, you're going to feel good. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, I feel fine. I don't need it. And then they come off it. That's not the answer either. If you haven't done anything, you only feel good because you're taking medicine. Like you just said, you still have work to do. It's still a road. It's still a battle that you got to get through before you come off the medication. But I think we got the mental health stigma. It's like here, we got to get up to here. But I think the medication of it is that's still like, oh no. Okay, you can have anxiety, but don't take medicine.
No. Let's talk about it. We can talk about it, but don't
I totally.
Let's not talk about how we can fix it, because if medication's one of the ways to fix it, I don't really want to. You know what? Let's talk about it. Sure. Let's bring awareness to it. Sure. But if medication is involved, let's skip that part, because that means that it's a little bit more stronger than we want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, motherfucker, yes, it is that. It is that strong. Yeah. You just because you have a broken arm and put it in a splint doesn't mean it's going to heal correctly. You got to go get it set. You got to get it casted. You might need surgery. You know, there's a lot more that you might need to do. And then after it's out of the cast, once it is set and starting to heal, then you have therapy to get it stronger again. That's what medication is. Medication is the cast. It's the surgery.
That might be the best analogy I have ever heard in my life to that. Yeah. Honestly, that is an incredible analogy to use, and I love it.
Right. Well, that's what medication is. Medication and therapy is the cast and setting and or surgery, right? That's what medication and therapy is. It's the cast, it's the setting, it's the surgery, whatever it may be. But once you get to that point where, okay, it's set, it's healing now, it's in the process of healing. Once you get to the point where it's like, okay, now that it's getting to that point, now I need to make it strong. Now I need to make sure that I don't need the cast anymore. Now I need to do what I need to do to make sure I don't need that splint or need that sling anymore. Now I need to practice what I have been learning and make it stronger. Right? Yeah. And sometimes you have to do that. They take the cast off, they'll put you in a splint, but in that splint, you're still going to therapy, trying to make it work. That splint is the medication. Right? So in between therapies, you wear the splint. And in between therapies, you wear the splint. And
when the splint's off, you still do therapy.
You still do therapy because you got to make it stronger.
Yep.
And you're constantly trying to make it stronger. Stronger than what it was before.
Yes.
So that's why I like using those kind of analogies, because that's what mental health is.
I still can't get over it. That's a great one. It is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic analogy.
I have done a lot of fucking research and a lot of work on myself, and I am still going through that. And sometimes I forget to put the splint back on. Sometimes I forget that the splint is there to help. And I'm not going to lie. I've slipped. I have fucking slipped, and it pissed me off. Right? Just like when you think you're healed and you go back to try to throw that baseball again, or you go back to try to lift that same weight that you used to lift all the time, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I can't.
Re-injured.
Well, yeah, you
work back up to it. Yeah, work back up to it.
You re-injured it because you tried to push it.
Yep.
Takes time. Mental health takes time.
Yes.
You
Hard
said
work
you couldn't.
A lot of time.
Yeah, you said you couldn't really pinpoint a one thing, and you are trying to work on it with your therapist and trying to find that. What has it been like within your department, and how have they really helped you through that, if they have at all?
The guys I work with, it's all real cool. Like I said, the one guy, I'll talk to him pretty often about it. He's not on my shift anymore, so it hasn't been a lot lately. But when we were on shift together, we talked about it a lot. Me and him are pretty open about it. So we'll talk to any of the guys. Like, we don't care. Well, you want to talk about it, something's bothering us. There's a couple older guys that I wouldn't say anybody in my department don't talk to me about it. But we do have some of the guys with the old school mindset that don't necessarily always talk about it. And we do have one, my captain, the one that brought me there. He's an old school guy, but he's not. You can talk to him. So they're all pretty good about, hey, I need to talk. Yeah, let's talk. What's going on? Just a quick example, like just recently, two of the guys on my shift, they were on the same volunteer fire department. They had a real shitty call, and we were just talking about what it was, like how to get through. Like, don't let it affect you this much, and if it does, it's not like you're letting it, but don't let it just go. Like, if it starts to really eat at you past just the normal processing of a shitty call like that. So the guys are cool about it. Department wise, I don't want to say department wise. I gotta be real careful here.
I mean, but maybe they need to hear
It's-
this. Maybe your department needs to
it's-
hear something like this. Maybe your department needs to hear, hey, my opinion is that we need to work harder on this, because that's what I'm fighting. You're not alone in that fight.
It's not. See, that's yeah. I see what you're saying. That's not where it's being careful of letting. I can't get too specific of which department I'm with, and if I start talking
No,
that
you
way,
can't. No. Yeah. I get it. I get it.
My department's not necessarily in full control of that. My chief, he's a great guy to go and talk to, and he's the guys are cool. You know, the guys are. I've talked to a lot about all the guys. The guys will come talk to me, so
they're receptive.
but we also have like everything's small in South Jersey. It's a small department, just 12 guys. So we are all pretty close, and we all understand. Like, hey, anybody can call anybody up. Yo, what's going on? So it's a good place to be if you got some shit going on. Any one of the guys will sit down, talk to you, come over, talk to me.
Well, I know we can't get specific because you got to be careful, and I understand that, and I respect. What do you think it is generally that we can do as first responder departments? You're only 12 guys, so I'm going to assume you guys are not a union.
We are not in a fire union.
You're not in the IFF,
No.
International Association of Firefighters. So you're not in a national union. You're not in collective bargaining. You don't have civil service, right? That's what it is. Makes it a little bit harder for you guys to get certain perks, certain things from the city for doing the job that we're doing, right? We're going to be honest. It's not a bad or a good thing. It's just there's departments like that all over the fucking nation. That's just what it is. It's no big deal. It's just another realm that we work in. You work in a different realm. I work in a realm where we are civil service. We are in the IFF. We do have collective bargaining. We do have we do abide by civil service rules. The city has to abide by civil service rules, right? And so we have a little bit more of a leg to stand on when we go to ask for things, right? But in general, what do you think could happen, or what do you think kind of change could be made to make talking about mental health, and not just talking about mental health, but getting the help for your frontline soldiers, for lack of a better term, to get that help? What do you think in general that we can do as first responders and as departments and as chiefs that might be listening to stuff like this, or captains? What do you think your opinion is on how we can make that better for these guys to get the help that they're searching for?
I think, I guess it's one of those things that's just easier to say. I think it's got to be made readily and easily available. And you know how we are as first responders, it's easier to talk to each other. I think trying, and this part might not be so easy. What am I trying to say here? Like in the firefighter world, get firefighters that have the training to be a therapist or a counselor. Get police officers to do it, and it's. I think at that point you would find a lot of firefighters would have a lot easier of a time to go talk to this counselor or this therapist, because they're like, hey, I'm also a firefighter. I've also done the things you've done. I've gone into burning buildings. I've seen the dead bodies. I cut people out of cars too. Other than
I also have a family. I also deal with the family stresses. I also have kids. I also have all these other things that go on top of all that.
Yeah. Instead of walking, and I don't mean this by any disrespect, but instead of walking into a fancy office with a doctor that's driving a fancy car that costs more than our salaries. And I mean, for the most part, firefighters are like, we're just down and dirty blue collar workers. That's not working for most of them. Walking into a fancy office, sitting on this couch that probably costs $1,000. That's not where they're comfortable. That's not. And that's another part. Like, even if you got to the point, I'll go see a therapist. You got to go in there and you have to be comfortable. And that type of setting, at least the firefighters around here, that's not going to work for most of them that I know. They're not going to go in and sit in this fancy office with weird pictures on the wall. I think if we can find therapists and counselors that are in the business, in the job, and can, let's go sit on the bumper of the engine when no one else is around. Talk to me. Tell me what's going on. And it's more than just talking to the guys, because now they're trained and they can, they hear what you're saying and now they can explain it. Where is it coming from? What do you have to do? How can you help yourself? I think, and I maybe there are programs like that somewhere. I don't know. There's not anything like
there are. Okay. But that's the thing and that's what makes it difficult for different type of municipalities within the civil service realm, within first responders, is that there's only certain things that are available to other first responders depending on the municipality they're in, right? So the municipality I'm in, we're civil service. So we have access to the IAFF, the International Association of Firefighters, which is this national union, North American Union, Canada, North America, and USA, right? And they put on a peer support program, very similar to what you're explaining, where they send firefighters from a specific department. They go and get the training on how to talk to your peers that might be going through something. They're not counselors. They're not therapists, but they have training on how to hear you, on how to listen, on how to not push the issue and make you feel uncomfortable. They have that training. That's not available to all first responder municipalities.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right. And it's called the peer support program.
Okay.
And all it is you go and get this training to allow yourself to you learn how to talk to your peers that might be going through something. That's what it is. You learn how to talk to your peers that might be going through something. You're not going to diagnose them. You're not going to tell them what they have or don't have. You're not going to be able to say, well, that's depression or that's anxiety or you're suffering. No. As a peer supporter, you understand, you don't know what they're feeling, but you can understand how they got there. You can understand why they're feeling that way. You don't know how they're feeling, but you can understand why.
Yeah.
And then you can help point them in the direction that they need to go to get the professional help, to get safe, to get better. Right? That's not available to all first responder municipalities. And I don't understand why. Right now, the IAFF did that because, well, the union finally realized, shit, 2019, more firefighters committed suicide than died in the line of duty. There's something going on here.
Across the board now.
Yeah, there's something going on here. What the fuck? There's nothing like this for volunteers. Nothing like this for volunteers.
No, they do those, at least around here, they do the debriefing. They talk. Somebody comes in, talks to 20 of you for 20 minutes, and then okay, you're fine. See ya.
Yeah, the CISD is a critical incident stress debriefing, right? And you do it in front of all your peers.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have to grapple not with only I do want to talk about it, but all my boys are here.
Yeah,
they're right in front of me. Do I really want to bring this up right now? Especially when you don't understand how to.
Yeah, I don't.
Really, the best way to do it.
I don't think that's effective. I don't know. I'm sure for some people, I'm sure it is. So,
well, it does help some people. Look, the idea is well. The intention is there. It's well intentioned. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good intentioned. The process on how to do it, debatable.
Could be
debatable. I'm not gonna say it doesn't work because it does. It has helped people, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it doesn't because it has helped people. Is there a better way?
Or a different way?
A different way. We can
make all these avenues available.
Right. And what's happening now is that we're stuck in the first responder realm. And this is where we're going to get into my soapbox about the What Makes Us Fire Foundation.
Go, do it.
Real quick. Look, that's what the What Makes Us Fire nonprofit foundation is for. That's what we're about. don't want to limit our first responders, no matter what municipality you're in, no matter if you're in a union or not, no matter if you're civil service or not, when it comes to the rules and regulations in the municipality you're in. If you are a first responder, be it cop, firefighter, EMT, dispatcher, if you are military, veteran, and or active, we want it to where you do not feel limited and or short-handed on what you can and cannot do for yourself. You find somewhere that you believe is going to work for you, go. We got you. Go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We are going to take care of the bills. We are going. Look, your insurance doesn't cover it. Too fucking bad. Your insurance doesn't have to cover it because we're gonna cover it for you. If your insurance does cover it, but you still can't afford the copayment, it's okay. We got you. Shit, you might be in there for a month, month and a half, 2 months trying to go through that program. Go. Dedicate yourself to being a better you for you. That way, when you come back to your family, to your department, to the people you love, to when you come back to who you are, everything's going to be taken care of. We'll take care of your family. We'll take care of your house note. You got a dog? We'll find a fucking dog sitter. You're going to be taken care of. Your family is going to be taken care of because in the long run, when you come out of it and you're better for you, or you by you because you chose to be for you, then you can be 100% better for everybody else and everything else in your life, including the people you serve, including your job, including your family, including your friends, including your fucking dog. Doesn't matter. You're going to be a better you for you. And when you are 100% okay with that, you can be that for everybody in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that thinks or says, I get these messages all the time. People say, I give everything of myself. I do everything for everybody else. And I just feel like shit. Nobody cares about me. And I hate myself and this and that. Well, first, you're doing it for the wrong reasons then. If you're looking for some type of reward or some type of, hey, I did this for you, make me feel better about myself. You're doing it for the wrong reasons. First and foremost, you should be doing it because you want to do it and you're not looking for any type of anything in return. But two, if you're not 100% good for yourself, how do you expect to give 100% of yourself to anybody or anything else in your life?
That's true.
It sounds very selfish. It sounds very fucking selfish, but you know
it does sound selfish, and and you can, because it sounds that way, you can see why people that's one of the reasons why people might not go down that avenue. But
here's the thing.
Even if it is selfish, then be fucking selfish. It's not, but do it anyway.
In the long run, in the grand scheme of things, it's not selfish because when you're 100% good for you and you're 100% good for who you are, what you do, how you are, you can be that for everybody and everything else in your life. Mm-hmm. Instead of just giving them that 50% because the other 50% is feeling like shit about yourself.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you, but as soon as I'm done helping you, I'm going to go wallow in my self-hate or my self-pity or whatever it is. And I'm not saying it as a bad thing. We deal with those things. It's okay to feel that way. But if there's an avenue for you to get better and for you to actually give 100% of yourself or yourself first, you will give that to the people in the lives. You will give that to the people you care about. You just have to see it. You have to believe it. You have to be okay with being selfish with that.
Yes.
You won't be able to help anybody by not being good for you.
I mean, spot on. Can't say it any better.
That was my soapbox on What Makes Us Fire Foundation. www.whatmakesusfire.com. Looking for sponsors and donors. Okay. Sorry. WhatMakesUsFire.com. There's an online store. You can buy the cool hats that me and Devon are wearing right now. Yep. But I think that you are onto something, Devon, that you're like, you said if there was this thing that, fellow firefighters can go and get the training for to talk to other fellow firefighters or first responders, it's out there. It's out there. I recommend you looking up. Now, certain states have their own training. It's literally a 40-hour training course.
Okay.
Like, it's a 40-hour training course, and there is a national training course to keep up certifications or to add on. But depending on what state you're in, they usually have a peer support training group that you can talk to and find out how and what is involved in that peer support. There's first responder peer support training groups that are state specific. There's peer support training groups that are nationwide specific. Your department just has to be willing to spend the money to send the guys to get that training.
Yeah.
And or those guys have to be willing to spend their time and own money to go get that training to help their brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling, now that you know that this is out there, maybe you can start talking to your department about possibly sending one or two of you to go get that training. That way, if anybody does need somebody to talk to, they don't just have to reach out to admin. They can reach out to a fellow brother or sister.
Yeah, I like that. I think I'm glad it's a thing.
Yeah, it is.
I would be happy to do it, to get that training.
I think that it's cool hearing your point of view, because my point of view is skewed a little bit, because I always think, well, if you're a first responder, you're within the civil service realm, you're part of the union. No, I understand that's not the case, but sometimes I forget that. And I forget that there's avenues that are lacking for other first responder municipalities. And I sometimes forget that, because I'm like, well, why didn't you guys just talk to them? Well, not everybody's part of the union. Most fire, what is it? 75 to 80% of firefighters are actually volunteer firefighters in North America.
Yeah, something high.
Volunteers outnumber career firefighters
by like 1 million or something.
8 to 1, like 8 to 1. It's ridiculous, right? And we sometimes forget that as career firefighters. We forget that volunteers don't have these outlets that, or even benefits that might help.
No.
And I sometimes forget that, and I got to continuously remind myself.
Yeah, and with volunteers, I'm not currently volunteering, but like when I was, like, you go on this terrible car accident at, I don't know, 4:00 in the morning. You just have to go home, take a shower, and go to work. Like, you have to go be a teacher. You have to go weld things. You have to, whatever it is you do, just you have to go about your life. And everyone around you is looking at you, not having any idea that you just, cut a dead 5-year-old out of the backseat of a car. And it's a whole different aspect, that's for sure.
Well, on top of all that, not only did you have to do that, now you have to go home to the wife that's pissed off at you, or you have to go back home to where you feel lonely because nobody's there, or you're going through a divorce, or fuck, we always talk about the stresses of the job. Try adding on all literally just normal life stresses on top of that.
Yeah, it
sucks.
It does. That's why I think so many people, like, even if you're legitimately not depressed, don't have PTSD, go talk to a therapist. Like,
get checked.
Because you have daily stress. You have, like, nobody lives their life without stress and being overwhelmed. You'd be like, I think so many people would have their minds blown at how helpful at such a. It doesn't have to be so deep to go talk to somebody.
No, you might even learn a new coping mechanism or a new way to actually process what you're feeling. Like, you might actually learn something, believe it or not. Make yourself uncomfortable. When you were going through the fire training, were you really that comfortable putting the face piece on, covering your entire face in 80 pounds of gear with an SCBA on your back, putting the air on, only getting what that air supply was giving you, no matter how hard you try to take a deep breath? And not only that, you were dragging a hose that could weigh up to 100 pounds or more, and then having to spray the nozzle, which was pushing back at you 100 pounds or more because of the nozzle reaction, and in the heat, Were you comfortable learning all that? Were you comfortable
No.
learning how to defend yourself when somebody was shooting back at you? Cops, military? Were you comfortable having to get into physical condition to fight in a war? Military? Were you comfortable learning how to do CPR on a child? EMTs? Were you comfortable having to listen to the screams and anguish and despair of people calling you and asking for help? Dispatchers? Were you comfortable having to learn all that?
Yeah, no, you make a good point. Because you're not. You're not just like immediately, whoo, I'm good. I got this. No,
Exactly. Exactly. You have to make yourself uncomfortable to learn the tools that you need to live life and do your job better. And it's okay to be uncomfortable sometimes, especially in a controlled environment.
Yeah.
And saying all that, Devon, brother, I'm sorry. Again, I got on my soapbox, and again, I get off these rabbit holes, bro.
Got
You should have just told me to shut up.
No, you said good. More people need to listen to you. That's for sure.
Man,
I mean that.
I appreciate that.
I mean, you've explained things to me that I thought I understood, and then I'm like, wow, he's right. So,
well, and here's the thing: I'm okay with not always being right too. Just because it worked for me, and just because what I've learned and what I have practiced works for me, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for everybody. Okay, I get that, I understand that, and I try to make that clear. But what did work, and the one thing that does work every single time for somebody starting to get better, is starting the conversation.
Yeah.
Is admitting that you might need help, is admitting that you don't know everything. And you know what? I might need to work on this more than I thought I did.
It's first step.
That's the first step, right? You've heard me talk about it on several episodes.
Open up a world of doors to go through. On
several episodes, you listen to the podcast, so you know what I talk about. The three conversations you need to have. The first one with yourself, the hardest fucking conversation to have. When you stare at yourself in the mirror and you tell yourself, I need help.
Yep.
That's the hardest fucking conversation.
It is.
The second conversation is telling your friends and family, which is very hard as well.
Yeah.
I'm not putting that is very hard. Telling your friends and family, hey, there's something wrong with me. I think I'm broken up here in the head. Everybody watching on YouTube, I'm fucking tapping my head. Like, it's a hard conversation to have. And then the third step out of all that is talking to a professional.
Yes. I think
that's pretty hard too.
Depending on who you are, I think that could be the hardest one. That's kind of like what I was bringing up. Like, I think us first responders, amongst our peers, I think we can get to the admitting it and talking to them about it a lot easier than some of these guys can going to somebody else and talking about it. That's why, but I mean, like you said, there is that avenue. So that's fantastic. I'm glad there's that avenue for other first responders out there. I wish it was readily available and everyone knew about it to every first responder. Because I think it would. Well, I think that would help tremendously if you can.
Yeah, it would help tremendously. But the thing is that those people are not going to be trained as therapists. You cannot be a therapist and a firefighter unless you're a volunteer. But even then, you're only volunteering for when the call drops.
Yeah.
You're not there all the time.
Yeah, but that person can probably help you get to the stage where you go to a therapist,
That's a peer supporter. You can be that. And if you are that for somebody else and you know the routes and you've done the research and you can be like, hey, call this number. Hey, talk to this person. Hey, I don't know exactly how you're feeling, but I understand that you're feeling that way and I can understand how you got there. Let's get you some help. Let's move you in the right direction.
That's a good program. So I'm glad. Here I am thinking I'm paving the way, coming up with this brand new idea.
No, and look, the thing is you are coming up with a brand new idea within your realm of what you're doing in your municipality, because it hasn't been a thought others have had.
Sure.
So you are still paving a way, but there is a way for you to grab onto. You're not going to have to develop. It's there. You just have to go get it.
Yeah.
So you are still, quote unquote, paving a way in that you can describe the idea and then move on the idea because that idea wasn't there before. Right?
True. Yeah.
So
Sure.
you're still,
I have no idea.
Yeah. And so it's not like don't devalue your idea in that sense, because you literally are still having a new idea for people to reach out in your aspect, in your realm of what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's different for me because I'm part of the union. I'm in the civil service. I'm way more capable and have the availability and options to go do that.
Yeah.
Trust me, if you reach out to one of these facilities that do that training, they'll help you if they know you are with a municipality and you are a first responder. They'll help you. They'll make it.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'll look into it actually.
That's part of what Makes Us Fire is doing as well.
Yeah.
We're creating that peer support program.
I like it. I would love to do that. I would love to take that training. That's for sure.
You want to be a peer supporter?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I would absolutely become a peer supporter.
We're going to talk later after the episode.
Okay.
I'm gonna flip scripts. We're gonna talk a little bit more lighthearted here.
Okay.
Dude, you're on social media.
Yeah.
You're not very active on social media.
I go in and out. Yes.
Talking to you, hearing your point of view, hearing what you're about. You're not afraid to talk about it. Obviously, you're about to be on a podcast that's broadcasted worldwide. By the way, just, no pressure.
No, not at all. Glad I'm medicated.
Yeah.
Throw that one in there.
I love it. Oh, that was awesome. See, hey, y'all, depression can be funny.
Gotta make it funny.
Look, there's this podcast out there. They do not sponsor me in any way, shape, or form, but I fucking love it. It's called The Hilarious World of Depression.
I'll check it out.
Dude, oh my God, check it out. The first season, they just talk to comedians. The second season, they get a little bit more involved with actors and other people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude, the fact and what they say, there's one thing that he said, and this is going to be real quick. The one thing that he said that really struck a chord with me and was just like, you know what, this is a podcast I'm going to listen to forever now, is that he was talking to a guest, and the guest was talking about suicide, his suicidal ideations, and his depression, and how he just wanted the pain to stop. He wanted to be better. He wanted to feel happy again, and he just wanted it to stop. And the host, he goes, have you ever considered that if you were to follow through with those suicidal ideations, that you are actually never getting what you were searching for? You are actually never getting that peace that you were searching for. You are never getting that happiness that you're searching for. What you are doing is you are dying sad and taking that depression with you. You are never getting what you are actually wanting.
Wow. Yeah. That's a hell of a point of view.
When he said that, I was like,
wow.
Ouch.
Yeah. That's an eye opener. That's for sure. That's like a soul shattering statement, actually.
Yeah, especially with people that have suicidal ideations.
Yeah. But he's not wrong.
I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. Well, how the fuck are you going to ever be happy if you're dead?
Yeah, he's not wrong. 100% right.
I was like,
I'm definitely going to check that one out. That's for sure.
When he said that, I was like, I never thought of it that way.
No, neither have I.
Maybe I should stop thinking these thoughts sometimes.
It is good. I think it's a good way to think about it, actually.
Like, wow. But yeah, anyway, Hilarious World of Depression. I forget the host name, but he is actually really cool. It's not really civil service forward, but it is mental health forward.
Yeah,
That's the thing. Mental health affects us all.
everybody.
It just so happens that mental health affects civil service at staggering numbers compared to the general public, but it doesn't matter. If there's something out there that I think that's going to help you, that I think you should listen to, I'm going to let you know.
Yeah.
We're going to flip script. Like I said, your social media site, why aren't you doing more?
I don't know. I like I go up and down. I go in and out. I've just now, but I don't know, posted a few videos past couple days. Sometimes I'm into just making the videos, and sometimes I'm just not. I don't really know if I can explain it. There's no real reason to it.
When you make the videos, do you feel better?
So yeah, especially when I make funny videos. Yeah, when I make funny videos, make people laugh.
But does it make you feel better?
Yeah.
So why not do it more?
I don't know. There's no reason why I don't. That's for sure.
Devon, I'm getting on your ass because I think that you have something about you, brother. And this is me kind of kissing your ass, take it for whatever it is. You have a mindset that I think can be beneficial for a lot of other first responders, for a lot of other people, really. You have a mindset of willingness to not only share of yourself, but share the things that are, one, uncomfortable, but two, make them to where they're normal. And you can do it in a funny way.
Yeah.
And if it helps you, if it makes you feel better, allow it to be an outlet for yourself. Allow it. Yeah. Don't worry about what other people are saying about you. As long as it's not detrimental to your career or to your relationships or anything like that, you can do it. Do it.
You're right.
What's the worst that could fucking happen? You make a fucking difference?
Yeah, it is. I mean,
or nobody listens to you, and then I don't give a shit if nobody listens to me. It makes me feel better.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. I guess maybe end of last summer, maybe I posted a video about mental health and what I was going through and what I was doing, and I'm very open about it. And the people, some of the comments, and got a couple messages, and people were like, "Wow, like I never thought like you would be doing this," or like, "Oh, as a firefighter or as an EMT, like you're right. Like I need to go get help too." And you're right, to the point where I'm probably doing a disservice to some people. Like I posted one video, and don't get me wrong, it was like 5,000 people were lining up, but it was a handful of people that were telling me that I made a difference in their life. So
all you need is one.
Exactly. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
All you need is one. And from doing this podcast, I can tell you the first person that got me thinking that I cannot stop doing this. He's a cop from the UK.
Really?
Had it not been for my social media platform that I started before this and started talking about, hey, if you need to talk, I'm here. Don't be ashamed about your mental health. He reached out. Had I not had that social media platform for the podcast, who knows what would have happened to him. But he called me the next day from the UK. I had no idea where he was from. He was at the pub. He started talking. I'm like, oh, this dude has an accent. And he said, the first words out of his mouth were, "You saved my life."
That's heavy.
All I did was talk to the guy.
Sometimes it's all it takes.
And that's when I knew I can't stop doing this.
No, you can't stop. Not now.
So you guys have seen me on lives. You guys have seen me, What Makes Us Fire. You've seen me broken. You've seen me defeated. You've seen me happy. You've seen me goofy. You've seen me broken and beaten. You've seen everything. I don't hide anything.
You are correct about that.
That's because we need to know, it's my opinion that people need to know it's okay to be human.
Yes, especially us.
Especially us. Especially first responders. We don't have to be that quote unquote hero all the time. It's okay for us to be. It's okay for us to be broken from time to time. We're still human beings.
Yes.
We're normal people doing an abnormal job, and sometimes that job, on top of life stress, breaks us from time to time, and it's okay to be broken.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's okay to not be okay. It's just not okay to stay there.
Truer words have never been spoken.
I didn't come up with it. But I definitely fucking preach it. Definitely.
Yeah, no, I agree with that one. 100%.
I'm just telling you, brother, with what you have and what you're willing to do and what you're willing to share, I think you can make a bigger difference than you realize. You can be more of a civil servant through what you create and what you share of yourself than you realize. And I think you really, truly can do that. And I want you to. I want you to be more open. I want you to share your story more, because your story is not going to get you in trouble. Your story is not going to. I mean, I get questions, aren't you worried about someone from your department finding out? And I'm like, what? They're going to fire me because I have a mental health issue? Could you imagine the backlash that they would have? Yeah, they're not going to do that. If anything, they'll want to help me. And that's even better. That's even better that I'm speaking out and I'm finally getting some help. That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone in my department knows that I'm on medicine, and if they don't, it's not hiding it from them. There's no reason to it. It's just the conversation between me and that person hasn't been brought up. But I don't hide it. They all know. They all know about the other guy too. Like, I guess we're a little bit of a different dynamic because we're so small. But
but
there's still no issue. There's still no issue with it.
They realize just because you have a mental health issue doesn't mean you're debilitated. Doesn't mean you can't do the job. It doesn't mean that you're less than.
No, not at all.
Exactly.
And none of them treat me none of them treat me any different.
And that's what we are afraid of.
Yeah,
we're afraid of being treated different.
Yeah, no, they're just still bust my balls as hard as anybody else. They'll
exactly. Just
chew my ass if I do something stupid. Like,
and sometimes you might be a little bit down.
They'll still bust my balls.
Exactly.
They ain't gonna stop
exactly.
It doesn't if Russ is listening to this, he's probably gonna bust my balls tonight. So,
well, that your episode's gonna air on Wednesday, so a couple of days from now. But
yeah, work with him Wednesday too. He'll bust my balls Wednesday then.
But yeah, man, just think about it, and I'm gonna ask you to consider being a part of the What Makes Us Fire Foundation. I want you to consider. Okay, I got to be careful how I say this because I have to go through my board of directors.
Okay, I understand.
It's weird because when you start a nonprofit, right? You're like, oh, I'm the CEO. Oh, I'm the founder. I can do what I want. No.
Nope.
No, you can't. No, you can't, because a nonprofit has to have a board of directors, and they can vote me out. Even though I own the incorporation that holds the foundation, they can vote me out of that foundation. I didn't.
Who are the board of directors? Are they people you know, or are they?
Yeah, no, they're people I know. They're people that I trust. They're people I know. Okay. They're people that I trust. They're people that have literally been dedicating their every waking moment to helping this thing grow.
Okay, good.
But I do have to clear it with them.
I understand. I want 100%.
You, if you were willing and able and wanting to, I'm going to be asking you to dedicate a lot of your free time to helping us grow.
Yes.
In the peer support and in the mentorship program.
100%. I'm there.
Cool.
I wanted to be more. I wanted to be more than just a volunteer or somebody. Like, I wanted to be actually a part of it. So.
Oh, really?
Yes, 100%.
Why the fuck haven't you asked?
I was going to today on like.
Okay, but you've been literally following me since fucking what, September, October?
Easily.
So why wait till today? What were you afraid of?
Well, I mean, up until you asked me to be even on it, I just thought maybe I was just one of the people.
Bro,
I hear you. I hear you.
speak the fuck up.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
I literally preach this all the time. Speak up. Nobody's going to know where you're at or what you want or anything. Give me the chance to tell you, fuck no. Or
Hey, look
give
at
me
that.
the
You're saying,
chance.
fuck yeah.
Yeah. Or give me the chance to say, fuck yeah. Yeah, dude, I need somebody like you. I need
Perfect.
somebody willing to sacrifice themselves and their time and their effort. I need people like that.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm all for it.
Let's do it. Like it.
All right.
All right, brother. I'm going to start winding this down.
Yes.
Man, what a kind of fucking rabbit holes did we trail off into?
Whew. We did go. We went many places. It's good though.
Right? People are
I like
listening. They're like, I don't know if where are we at now? What are we talking about?
I got lost a few times. I'm like, wait a second, I'm rambling. What am I talking about?
Yeah, okay. One, I have ADHD, right? So my medicine's just now starting to kick in because I took it right before we got on the episode. Two, I'm drinking whiskey. Doesn't help. 3, I just got off a 48-hour long tour. I'm a little bit tired.
A little bit.
So, What Makes Us Fire family, everyone listening, new to the podcast. Hi. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, this is real. Both of us getting off our tours right off the bat. Like, this is our life.
Yeah, it is. This is the way it works. You know how I like to end my shows, man. I ask 3 questions. Now, you have a little bit of a head start than other guests on the podcast because, well, you know what those 3 questions are. So you're probably like, oh, I'm ready.
I don't have them ready. Don't worry, I don't have them ready. I don't.
All right. Your handle on social media is 2 TWO number 6 0 ZERO and then the number 6 2606. So we're going to call this the 2606, the 2606 podcast, hosted by Devon. Guest today is Devon. So one question you would have asked yourself and or piece of information that you would like to share that maybe we didn't touch on. We touched on a shit ton, by the way. So
man, we did. We really did touch on a lot.
What's the one thing you would have asked yourself that maybe we didn't touch on?
Oh man, give me a hot second. Think about this one. What? Damn it! Over with already. Yeah. What question?
Question or piece of information? Something about yourself that maybe we didn't hit on, or a question that you would have wanted me to ask you that I didn't.
Yeah, man. This one's. I should have prepared myself for these ones. And I didn't.
You listen to the fucking podcast, Devon. You know this is coming up.
Yo, like, when I told you I was nervous, man, I was nervous.
Yeah, but how flowing did this conversation go?
It did, and like, let me tell you, I had prepared myself, like, oh, but what if he talks about this, and what if he talks about this, and what if he talks about this? I was like, all right, I got to remember this, and I got to remember that, and I got to remember this. Like, I was just like.
And then we started talking and you forgot all those things and we just talked.
Yeah, pretty much.
So is there something that you want people to know about you that we didn't talk about? Like you got a big dick? I don't know.
Well, that goes without saying. I'm a firefighter. Sorry, cops. Okay, guys, that's actually the reason I couldn't become a police officer. I didn't qualify. So it wasn't small enough.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. That's funny. Hey, if you don't have anything, it's okay. I mean, it's okay.
I can't think of anything.
Oh, I'm gonna ask you something that I didn't ask you in.
Okay,
everything.
I like it.
With your family life, you have a daughter.
Yes.
You don't have to talk about her specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And you also said you're going through a divorce. How has that affected you with the job as well?
So.
You don't have to get specific. You don't have to get specific. I just want general.
Unfortunately, this is not going to be a very deep question because me and my ex we have kept it very amicable. Don't get me wrong, in the very beginning, all those emotions. It was very hard. It was hard to even go to work. And then when I'm at work, it was the only thing that was occupying my mind. It's like, it's really over. We're really not together anymore. And it's hard to focus on what I had to focus on. And, obviously we got into our arguments, but we really focused hard for Kona, my daughter, that we both are under the very, very same mindset that like, we didn't want this to affect her more than it already is, just because we are now divorced. There are parts and aspects of that where we can't help it, that it is going to affect her, but we wanted to make it as easy for her as possible. And one of those things, and what it all comes down to, is we don't have to hate each other just because we didn't work out. It was not a I cheated on her or she cheated on me situation. It was we grew into two different people. And, if we stayed together, it would have turned into some terrible thing, but we didn't. So there's no reason to hate each other. There's no reason to badmouth each other. There's no reason to attack each other. So we've kept it very amicable. She actually is a big reason. The reason that I've really started understanding a lot about mental health. She's helped me a lot there, and she still does. If I go to work tonight and I have a terrible fucking call that just fucks with my head, it'll be a toss-up between me calling her or my father first. So
you can call me too, bro.
Yeah, well, got you now. But just
yeah. Well, then there's.
Well, just
giving you shit, bro. Giving you shit. Go ahead, keep going.
It's just that's where we've gotten to now. So in the beginning, it was hard, and it's going to be hard for anybody. It's really shitty to have all those emotions. Like just you're at work and it's all you can think about, and it's like you just want to break down, but you can't. It's not that you can't, but you can't in the sense that you got to stay ready for what's coming at you. What's the next call you're going to answer? What are you going to do? And then you get off work and you come home, and now you have your kid. It does stay. It's very hard to go through that. Now, it adds an aspect to it, but it's not a hard aspect. And like, we're friends now, and
you were able to work through it.
Yes, more than I would say most people. I'm very lucky that
But I want to stop you. Is that people need to know that just because you're going through your life stresses doesn't mean you can't do the job.
Oh yeah, no. I still went to work. I don't even think I called out one day. I still remember the first day I walked into work with the two guys, and the one that was also on medication. He looked at me. He was like, "What's wrong?" Instantly. I don't think I was there for 5 minutes.
It's funny how people that are going through shit can literally sniff out other people that are going through shit
instantly. Like, there's just boom. And the other guy I was working with Rust as well, so I'm very close with both of them. And so it was nice to have specifically those two. I mean, any of the guys in my department would have been, understanding and supportive, but those two specifically, a little bit closer to those guys. So it was nice to have those guys there. But yeah, I still went to work. You got to focus. Just you have the time, or you got to focus on the emotional parts about it. But when you get to work, you got to focus on that.
And I loved what you said. Look, just because we have shit going on at home, one, doesn't mean we can't do the job. Two, doesn't mean we let it go when we get to the job.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
That saying, leave your home life at the door when you come to work, leave your work life at the door when you come home. Human beings cannot do that.
I don't agree with that at all.
Everybody out there, if you think that's an actual thing, one, fuck off. Two,
no.
It's not healthy because the human brain cannot do that.
No. Yeah, no, I don't agree with that.
No. We can't.
No.
We can't.
Not at all.
The human being, when it's stressed, it's stressed, it's stressed. It doesn't matter where or when you're at in life, it happens. Yeah. Period. End of story.
Can't control that. Life doesn't stop. Life
does not stop. so you can still be a functional member of society in your job with depression, with sadness, with stress. You can still do the things that you need to do. You just have a little bit more to deal with. That is it.
Yep.
It doesn't make you anything less than, doesn't make you anything more than, doesn't make you better because you can handle it better. No, it just is something that we deal with. It's okay to be affected by the stresses of life while you're at work, and it's okay to be to deal with the stresses of work while you're at home.
Yeah.
You just need to talk about it. You need to let everybody know what's going on.
Yeah. They all knew. They were supportive. They talked to me, And,
you opened up.
If there was any time throughout the shift where it didn't happen, but if there was a time where I was too deep in thought, I was too caught up in it, and I couldn't answer the call, they would have went, and if it turned out to be something they can handle, they would have just handled it, and if they needed me, they would have called me. Hey, we need you. But so it was good guys to work with too. So.
Yeah. Our brothers and sisters within the realm of what we do definitely help us more than they think they realize.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it's something like that, it doesn't matter who it is, they're going to help you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate you answering that question. I know you didn't come up with one of your own, but that was something I wanted to talk to you about because I did know that you were going through this process of your personal life. And I wanted to ask you how it affected your professional life. And I wanted to let people know, especially other civil service members that are listening, that it's okay to let your personal life affect you. You don't have to shut it off when you go to work. You can still do the job. It's not going to stop you from doing the job.
Not at all.
Now, can it be debilitating? Can it make you to the point where, fuck, I don't know if I can do the job? Sure. Absolutely, it can. But if it does, you need to be honest with yourself. You need to be honest with the guys around you. You need to be honest with your administration and say, hey, I need time off to work on this.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to do that.
Yes.
And it's okay.
Admit it. Do it. Get the help.
It's okay to be willing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that process. Thank you for shouting out the guys at work. Second question, you know what it is, bro? What is it?
No, you gotta say it. I can't say it.
No. You say it because you've listened to every fucking episode so far. What's my second question towards the end?
I need you to say it. It's not your podcast.
You forgot, didn't you?
No, I didn't forget.
Well, then tell me.
Okay, yeah, I forgot in this moment in time.
Okay, do you have any questions for me?
I'll be honest with you. I'm still nervous. I've been nervous this whole time.
Dude, but you've been good. You've been good, dude. You've been perfectly fine this whole time.
Literally just remembered it, now that you said it, but...
Well, of course. Yeah, sure, you just remembered it, sure.
No,
Sure, whatever. I just remembered it. Yeah, bullshit. You have any questions for me? You know I'm an open book. I'll let you know anything. As long as it doesn't have to do with somebody else that I have to ask permission to reveal those feelings, I'll answer it, man. So go for it.
I've always wondered what brought you into this life. I'm pretty sure you answered this on one of the podcasts, but I don't remember.
Yeah, my first podcast. Into the first responder life, into being a firefighter. Yeah, the first podcast. Total happenstance.
Total happenstance.
Yeah, total happenstance. I grew up wanting to be an actor. Not because I wanted to be famous, not because I wanted to be, because I loved being somebody else other than myself. And I realized now, after doing a lot of evaluation of myself, that the reason why I loved acting so much is because it took me out of who I was. And I still love acting. I still love being on stage. I still love, if somebody said, hey, I want you to be in a movie, or hey, can you do this commercial? Or hey, I'd be like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, sign me up. I'm doing it. I love doing that stuff. I love being on stage. I love portraying another character because I can pull from my personal experience to portray that character. And that's what I grew up wanting to do. I went to California. I went to San Diego because LA is way too expensive. My dad was in San Diego because he was Navy. It was easy, right? I can live with him. Didn't have to pay rent. Cool. I can go to LA if there was any casting calls. But I didn't work as hard on it as I thought I would have because I think a part of me realized I just loved acting because it took me out of my reality instead of dealing with my reality. Going through that process through life for a few years, I came back to Houston, I think like the third time. I live in the Houston, Texas area, by the way. I came back to Houston for like the third time with my mother. My parents are divorced. And they were like, look, if you're going to come back and live with us, we're not going to support you and just have you do nothing. You're either going to go to work, like get an actually real job, and or you're going to go to school. And I was like, well, I've been working a lot. I want to go to school. I'll go to school. And on the way to the college, which is a community college, at the time I was in the car, and my girlfriend at the time was looking through the pamphlet of the courses that the college, had. And I was just like, just look at the certifications, because I know I can get a welding certification. I can get a certification in a semester or two. I'll have a piece of paper. I can say, look, I'm trained, hire me. And she was going through it, and then she hit firefighter. And I was just like, that sounds cool. Let's try that. Why the fuck not? And it wasn't something I've always wanted to do. It wasn't something that my life was guiding me into. It was just something that was complete happenstance. I went, the counselor said, hey, firefighters are now going to EMT base. You have to be at least an EMT to be a firefighter nowadays. We recommend you signing up for the EMT course and stuff like that. So I signed up for the Associates for Applied Fire Science. And I ended up dropping all the core curriculum classes because I was like, no, just give me the certification. Went to the EMT class, first day, opened the book, hooked. Line and sinker.
On the EMT book?
On the EMT book. Not even the fire book, bro. Literally, I started my EMT courses before the fire.
Okay.
Fucking hooked. And it wasn't the gory pictures. It was the text. It was what I was reading. What it was for me is I was looking at this and I saw, wow, if I would have seen this patient or this person before having this knowledge, I would have looked at them and said, that fucker's dead. I can't do anything. There ain't nothing wrong. That fucker's dead. Ain't nothing nobody can do. Now I can look at that same patient and be like, I can save their fucking life.
Yeah.
I know what to do. As a basic.
Yeah.
EMT basic. For all you civil service members out there, we all know basic is like, especially those paragods out there listening. Sorry, paramedics. Sorry. Paragods.
Yeah, medigods.
It was, holy shit. I can save someone's life.
Yeah.
It was that aspect. And then when I got into the fire, I was just like, oh, I'm not leaving. What?
Yeah, I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
I'm not fucking leaving. Are you kidding me? This is fucking amazing. And it's so hard to explain to people what the feeling is of walking into a fire.
Yes, I would. Yeah, I would agree.
But we're literally crawling into the fire, not spraying any water, literally crawling into the fire rolling over us. We have rollover. We're crawling through the hallway with rollover, the smoke, literally down on our hands and knees, dragging 100-something pound nozzle with your brother right behind you, helping you out, finding the seat of the fire, hitting that fire, feeling the steam and heat, and just, I don't know how to explain it to you. I will never be able to explain it to anybody that doesn't understand or hasn't been in that situation. The feeling of just,
I can you like,
alive.
It's like, yeah, it's like, I know,
Yeah.
I mean, how do you explain it?
I knew. I just knew.
Yeah.
And I remember the first day of the fire course, when I got to my fire certification, the instructor asked everybody to stand up and say why you were here. And my answer was simply, I believe this is what I was meant to do. That was it. Nothing more.
Can't get more pure than that.
That was it. I believe this is what I was meant to do. I finally realized I feel like this is what I was meant to do. Other people were like, well, my dad was a firefighter, my dad was a cop, or I'm searching for what I want to do. This seems pretty cool. For me, it was just simply, I believe this is what I'm meant to do. End of story. That was it. That was my answer. And he just looked at me and was like, that's it? And I was like, that's it. I got nothing else for you.
Can't beat it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's what I got into this life for. And if it wasn't for me getting into this life the way I did, the podcast would have never happened. The foundation would have never happened. I would have never met someone like you. I would have never met the people that are in my life now. And I cannot be more grateful for that decision.
Yeah, it is a great group of people. That's for sure.
Last question, brother. Thank you for that question, by the way. I've answered it a million times over. You should have known this because I've answered it a bunch. And you listen to every single fucking podcast.
When you said the actor, it did start to come back to me. There's a few. You can't give me credit for all. There's like 3. I skipped 3 of them to go listen to Peacock. Peacock. Yeah.
Great. G. Scott.
Yeah.
That was a good episode too, by the way.
Yeah.
That was a really good episode. What he shared was really, really good. My last question, brother. You know what it is. You're on What Makes Us Fire podcast. A lot of people listening to What Makes Us Fire family and people new that are tuning in will listen to this and be like, oh, I'm listening to first responders and firefighters telling us what it is that makes them do the job that they do. But really, it's more of a question. It really is more of a question. What do you think it is that makes us people that decide to be people that sacrifice of ourselves to help others? People that on the outside don't agree with our point of view. People that have grown up differently than us. People of different skin colors, people of different races, people of different religious beliefs, people of different sexual orientations. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who they are. We're willing to sacrifice our lives for them, even if we don't agree. Where did that come from?
The way I say it, whatever it is, I think there's certain types of people, and from the get-go, we are those type of people that are going to stand that wall, stand that line. And it's just I think it's just part of our makeup that we are not the ones that are going to stand by. We can't. Can you imagine just standing there right now as an emergency is happening right in front of you? Every single firefighter, cop, EMT is going to look at you saying, no, you're going to do something. You're going to do absolutely what you can do. And I think it's just an inherent nature in those of us that have this ability. I won't call it ability because not everybody can do it. And it almost comes to the thought of like a higher calling. It's what we're supposed to do. I truly think. I think it's just like every one of us. This is what we were supposed to do because we are those select few people that are able to do it or willing to do it. Whereas
you say higher calling, but it's a higher calling for people that are Muslims helping Christians, or straight people that are helping gays, bisexuals, and LGBTQ, or a black person helping a white person, or a white person helping a black person, or Asian, whatever your upbringing was, or your moralistic background. You're saying all this. And yet it's people that are so fucking different and that on the outside would never give them a second chance, but still will give their life for them.
I mean, I don't know if I can't answer this for other people, answering it for myself. You're still just a human to me. Like I don't care what race you are. I don't care what you are. I don't care what you do. Like, you're still a human being. I'm not going to let you die just because you think differently than me, just because you look differently than me, just because you believe in something else different than me. You are your own person. That's not going to, and I think that's, I mean, I don't know, speaking out of turn for most people, I don't think so. I think most first responders are like that. We don't look at other people and be like, oh, you believe in that? No. Hey, there's a human being, part of this earth, that needs to be saved, and I'm going to go do that. I don't care that the person's gay. I don't care that that person is, a Muslim. I don't care that that person's Asian. Because we don't. Not once in my life have I ever, and will never be like, oh, that person's different from me. Sorry, man, you're on your own. And people that think like that don't get into this business. That's how I view it.
People like that do not get into this fucking business. And if you are in this business and you think like that, you are a shithead. Get the fuck out.
Something happens to them, and they get out. Whether something always happens to somebody like that, because you can't be like that. Yeah, and you just can't. I don't care what you do with your personal life. I don't care. Your personal life is your personal life. Whether I agree with you, whether I like it, doesn't matter. You're still a human being. I'm going to go and rescue you. I'm going to do CPR on you. I'm going to pull you out of the car.
I'm going to risk my life for you.
Yeah, you can be whoever you want. You can vote for whoever you want. You can think that there's a God. You can think there's 20 gods. You can think there's no God. I don't care. You think how you think, be how you be. I'm still going to come in and get you. And it's a very simple term, but I think that's how most of us are. We're just coming in. It doesn't matter what you are. You can be whoever you are. We're going.
And we can explain why. We just will.
Just doing it.
Well, Devon, brother, I appreciate you being on the show, man. I appreciate you being open. I appreciate you sharing what you shared, man. Especially knowing that your peers might listen to this. Especially knowing that you're probably going to have your peers listen to this. Because you are making them listen to me, the podcast, when you're at work and other times.
You see my pictures I send out?
Yeah, I see them.
Podcast coming on, putting it on. Let's go. Yeah. Hey, the guys are starting to listen.
Poppy and What Makes Us Fire podcast. Guys are listening. And I can't thank you enough for your support, brother. I can't thank you enough for opening up and coming on the show and just being fucking you. And if people don't tell you, people don't tell you enough, thank you for just being you, man. They should, because you're a good person. I can tell you have a good fucking heart. You're doing this job and you're being a good person because you believe it, not because it's going to bring you anything, but because you believe it. I truly think that you're going to be able to make a huge difference in this world, more than you probably realize right now. And the fact that you're willing to show support in trying to help our brothers and sisters getting that mental health treatment, because you know what it's like, says a lot about you. And you have been part of the What Makes Us Fire podcast, the What Makes Us Fire social media platform, the What Makes Us Fire Foundation. You have been a supporter since the beginning. And I can't thank you enough for that. Really cannot thank you enough for that. You were one of the first people that bought merch. You were one of the first people to promote us. And I am in awe of your support and your belief in me. And it means a lot. It really does. It means a lot to me, and it does not go unappreciated.
Well, I believe in what you're trying to do, and I believe in you. I think you're going to do it. So.
Well, I'm here to back you up. I'm definitely going to be able to do it with people like you in my corner. That's for damn sure.
There's plenty of us, so we're not going to let you quit. That's for sure.
I ain't going to quit. As much as I want to sometimes. I ain't going to quit.
Yeah. We're all allowed to want to. That's for sure.
Well, brother, again, thank you for coming on the show. Everybody listening, Devon, let's go ahead and give them your handle, man. Where can they find you on social media? Where can they kind of get an idea of where they can pick you up and start hearing your point of view on how you let it out on social media?
2606, like you said, spelled out 2 and 0. It's the same on TikTok and Instagram. That's what I'm on most of the time.
All right, so you heard it.
Message me if you want to message. if you want to message me, do it on Instagram, because TikTok filters out messages and I don't always remember to check that box. So go to
TikTok's still working out their bugs. But if you want to message Devon, 2606 TWO, the number 6 ZERO and the number 6. Go check him out. You guys, Devon is an amazing human being. He definitely has shown support for the What Makes Us Fire family, and he's showing support for you as a human being. You heard it from him directly. And I wouldn't have asked him to be on the show. I wouldn't have asked him to share his story if I didn't believe in him. So take that for what it's worth as well. And not only that, you've heard everything he has shared. He's open to you guys. He's willing to share his story and to help more than just what he's doing as a job. He's another What Makes Us Fire family member. You can reach out to him. He'll help.
Absolutely. Anybody can.
Brother, again, I'm going to say it again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
What Makes Us Fire family, y'all. Have fun. Stay safe. Show some love and peace out in this world. You never know who's going to need it. You never know if you're going to be the one to make the difference. And Devon, what does being that difference make you feel like?
In a pure sense, good. Just makes you feel good.
Makes
happy.
You feel fucking good. It feels great.
Yep. Really does.
Be the change you want to see in the world, and don't let the world dictate how you want to see that change. Don't get walked all over. Just be better. Much love. Peace. All right. That was Devon, ladies and gentlemen. I, again, want to say thank you to him. I know I probably said thank you a hell of a lot, but I got to say it again. He definitely took us through a lot of his life. He took us through a lot of his thought process. He opened up to us in a way that not a whole lot of us can do. He said he was nervous the entire time. And yet, even through that being nervous and not really knowing what he thought was going to be coming up or possibly coming up, he still didn't allow himself to be affected by it. He still opened up. He still shared. And to me, that says that he does believe in killing this stigma about mental health, that he does believe that we shouldn't have to hide how we're feeling because we're human beings. And we're human beings first and foremost. Thanks, Devon. Brother, I can't wait to have you help the What Makes Us Fire Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, you know how it goes here with What Makes Us Fire right at the end. Of course, I always tell you, please follow us on all the social media platforms with the tag at What Makes Us Fire, all one word, on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. You can follow the show on YouTube if you're not already watching it on YouTube now with What Makes Us Fire, one word, space, podcast. And if you'd like to email me, you could always reach out at whatmakesusfire@yahoo.com, or you can go to the website and email us through the contact information in the contact button down at the bottom of the main page. If you are wanting and willing, we can definitely use your help. What Makes Us Fire, as you've heard, has grown into a nonprofit foundation. And with this nonprofit foundation, it is our goal and our mission to help our civil service members get the help that they are seeking. And we do that by making sure finances are not a deciding factor. But the only way we can do that is from donations and from help from supporters like yourself. If you go to whatmakesusfire.com, you can learn a little bit more about what the foundation's about. Please, please, please don't judge me. I'm the one that made the website and I don't know how to make websites too well. However, there is a donate button where you can make a donation of any amount. It'll help the podcast grow. It'll allow us to get bigger. It'll allow us to help more. WhatMakesUsFire.com also has a online store where you can purchase What Makes Us Fire gear and show your support for the What Makes Us Fire Foundation. And anybody wearing What Makes Us Fire gear knows that they are supporting their fellow civil service members and first responders in their quest for mental health clarity and just to be good. If you're finding yourself in a crisis right now after listening to this show, please start the conversation. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 100% free, anonymous, and confidential. The number is 1-800-273-8255. Again, the number is 1-800-273-8255. If talking to somebody just isn't in the wheelhouse or you're not finding yourself to that point yet, please visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org, where you will find a multitude of resources to help you and guide you on your journey to finding out what you need to do to become better for you. I do have to state that What Makes Us Fire is in no way, shape, or form sponsored by or supported by the National Suicide Prevention Hotline and or the suicidepreventionlifeline.org. These are just two of the very many outlets that I and What Makes Us Fire believe in. I love you all, and I thank you so much for your support. Please, please, please get out there, have fun, and stay safe. Be better for you. Peace.